Changed up the thing, yeah? Guys, you guys ready to go back into Great Tartary? This is part 5, yeah? Introduction to Great Tartary, part 5. I was supposed to come back yesterday. Let me explain. How I told you guys I needed to help my friend move his, he's opening a new shop, innit? A new coffee shop. So he asked me to help him move some of them, some machines into his new coffee shop. If you've seen how big these machines were, yeah? I didn't reach back home till after 9, and when I reached back home after 9, I weren't in no mind to do no live, so that's my bad, yeah? So today I'll try and give you 2 lives, this part 5 and part 6. I'm not gonna try, I will give you 2 lives, this part 5 and this part 6. Yesterday was wild. We went deep into this yesterday and it was wild, man. We went into the orphan trains, we went into the Cabbage Patch children, we went into the incubator babies, we went into and all the details that pivot around that in terms of certain organizations. We also went deep into the world fairs, the expositions, yeah, and we learned a whole lot of shocking stuff, especially when it comes to the orphan children. Like we learned which celebrities were orphans, which politicians were orphans, which business people were orphans. Let me just get this camera set properly, yeah, because the ground here is kind of uneven, so it just looks so wonky, right? Yeah, but we learned a whole bunch of stuff, man. Like I'm sure you never knew. I never knew Malcolm X was an orphan child. Ray Charles, Ella Fitzgerald, certain presidents. Which president was it again? One of them presidents, man. So many people were orphan children, and we started to learn how much these orphan children have socially engineered our modern society. Marilyn Monroe, she was another one. A lot of these musicians were actually orphan children. It was really deep, and I can even say it was a bit disturbing. Some of the stuff that we read yesterday in terms of the Cabbage Patch children, the incubator babies and the orphan trains, very disturbing stuff. We learned what them world fairs were really for, or we started to have an idea of what them world fairs were really for. The stage crashes where they're crashing trains together and stuff. Yo, there was so much in yesterday's live. I really wanted to come back and do another part, but as soon as I was finished, I got some food, ate some food, then my friends rang me, oh, can you help me, I've got to move this stuff, and there's about 6 of us, that's how heavy these machines are. It took about 6 of us to put these machines into the shop. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I came back, even though I wanted to, I couldn't do no live, man, and it was too late. I don't really like doing lives like this type of live after 9 o'clock because it's not going to be the same audience. A lot of people got to wake up and get their children ready for school or go to work or whatever. So I like to do this type of live here in the daytime. I don't mind doing late lives, but I don't want to do this type of real intense reading and stuff after 9 o'clock. I think it's too much, yeah. So yeah, today we're jumping straight back into it. We're jumping straight back into this Tartary thing, and we're going to go a bit deeper and see where the book takes us. Shout out to all of you who are giving me, come in my inbox and stuff and give me the feedback. I get a lot of feedback after these lives, man. Here on TikTok, also on my Instagram channel, and also now on YouTube. I get people on YouTube that come and shout me up, man, and they leave me messages based on these things that I'm uploading and stuff. You should know, yesterday's live, if you missed it, which was very significant, is now uploaded on our YouTube page at Memnon9. So you can go and watch them. Any lives that you haven't, this is somebody on YouTube now texting me about the books and that she want to buy a book. You get me? Because she watching these lives on YouTube when we upload them on YouTube. Now she asking me what book do I recommend for her. I'm telling her it depends on where you're at, because you can only meet knowledge from the level where you're at. So I'm trying to ask her what was your upbringing like, what was your religious influences in your childhood, because that makes me able to tell someone, well, if I was you, I'd go for this book first, because my books are written like that, depending on the angle of life you're coming from. Like if you're a Christian, I'd advise you a different book than if you said to me you're a Muslim or you grew up in a Muslim household. You get me? If you grew up in a Muslim household, I got books that focus, they use the Quran more than they use the Bible. So I'd point you towards one of them books, like what side of history the supernatural origins of man, or War in the Skies, Blood Feud of the Gods. Them two are heavy with Quran, and I'm not just talking about English. The Arabic's in there, the transliterations in there, and the English translations in there. So I'm giving you all three, so you can determine for yourself. It's laid out for you, just like Dr. York used to do for us, right? So yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback, man, and I appreciate it. We got to keep our knee in their neck. For us to keep the algorithm building is my cousin here, because I want him to do some moderation, man. Shout out to everybody who's here in the arena. We're jumping straight back into this Tartary thing. There is a bit of noise in the background. I don't know what's going on out there, but we can't escape it, right? So hopefully it's not disturbing what I'm saying, and you can still hear me quite clearly. And we're just going to jump into this Tartary thing. That means the deities, who nothing exists except by way of the deities. That's what Muslims changed into La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. They got that from us. Ours is Hupa Nechiru Menunutchayu Kawun Lalul Bihu, which means the deities who nothing would exist except by way of the deities. That's the original Shahada. And we don't have to bear witness or bear false witness, because none of us ain't never seen God. So we don't have to say, oh, I bear witness that the only God is this, or the only God all that. We just say, Hupa Nechiru Menunutchayu Kawun Lalul Bihu, with one finger extended, yeah, for the one. And that means the deities who nothing exists except by way of the deities. Let me say this as well, yeah. Party stuff bad. Anuki fi pa ashuk shil kolum wa kul ashuk kalun fi ni. Anuki farugun shil kolum wa kul kalun farugun shilni. Anuki wahed ka kolum wa kul kalun wahed ka ni. Nuk aikilu anjihu kama farugun shil kolum wa kub kama fariyudun. Nuk aikilu akweno kul dek nuk akfuzi fi kolum kama tawul kama kafuzi kalun liga amidu fi kolum. Anuki kaba wahud kolum kalun anoki kolum yakul nuk aikilu kolum dora nuk abmilu. So what I just said there is the affirmation in Nuwabic, and I said, I am in the love of all, and all love is in me. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one with all, and all is one with me. I can succeed as a part of all, and fail as an individual. I can be all that I wish in all, as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. Anuki kabaha wahud. I am never alone. All is, I am. All does, I do. All can, I can. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what we said in the Nuwabic. Amen, yeah? So we're jumping straight back into this. I hope you got your pen and your notepad ready just like yesterday. I need you to hold down the screen for me again. Share this live with at least 5 to 10 people in your inbox, and let's just dance. Let's crack on. Y'all ready, yeah? Get yourself a cup of coffee if you need yourself a cup of coffee or a slice of toast or whatever it is that's going to put you into that relaxation mode, so I can have your undivided attention, right? And let's just jump straight back into it and not waste no time. I want to do 2 lives today, yeah? And so yesterday we ended also on a very significant piece of the Tartary thing that nobody really talks about, and that was, how come all these orphan children are YT children? How come we're not seeing no black children in this whole narrative about Tartaria? Is that deliberate? Are they trying to hide something? And so we were linking that to the fact that, you see, when they say, oh, we're slaves and they made us into slaves, was it a fact that we were the Tartarians? Because we're talking about North America, in the western parts of North America, which was indigenous people, yeah? North Africa, all these places where before colonialism, we was prospering. And then soon as colonialism comes now, it's like we don't exist no more. They sent us or reclassified us, like with the Dawes Act. Oh, now you're an Indian, then you're African American, and then you're a this. They just renaming us. And it seems the case that we were the original Tartarians. I exposed yesterday how I have pictures that show, a lot of these pictures they show us with, which is linked to Tartaria, the people in there look very crude, like they're with donkey and cart. And so if you look at the people in them pictures and you look at the buildings, it's definite that them people in horse and buggy did not build them extravagant buildings. They inherited them. And I showed you, I exposed that a lot of these, the people that they put in these pictures are actually photoshopped into these pictures. Some of them, the feet are not touching the ground when you zoom in. Some of them sitting on steps and shit. Their bum is not on the step. They're hovering over the step, which exposes that, hold on, somebody's added these people into these pictures. A lot of these pictures have nobody in there because after their germs and stuff, smallpox or whatever, wipes out our populations, they inherited empty cities all throughout Europe and all throughout the Americas. They never kicked our ass or nothing. They came there with their nastiness, yeah, smallpox blankets or whatever, and wiped us out. And so they was able to just walk into empty cities. Our immune systems had never come across smallpox and certain type of diseases that them man naturally carry. Today they've weaponized it and mastered it. It's called germ warfare. They use it, yeah, in their geopolitics and stuff. But they already had a sense of that when they was going around to other people's lands, carrying whatever stuff they had on their body, and it's infecting the people. So now when we're trying to put up a resistance and fighting them, all of a sudden we're finding, hold on, how come we're just dropping like flies? What's happening? We didn't understand it. But that's the secret of how they wiped us out. It wasn't with no war, winning with no wars. It was with germs. You understand what I'm saying? So my point, they inherited empty cities that they had to repopulate. We spoke about the incubator babies and the Cabbage Patch children and the orphan trains which they used to repopulate all of these cities, not only in America, but in Europe, in all over the world. And that's why they were using these colored people to repopulate the cities and give us a false narrative to make us feel like we ain't got no part in this story of Tartary or whatever. Now, I'm reading from the same book, right? Yeah, if any of you want the name of the book, it's Tartaria, Full Hidden History Unlocked by Shudwini Noventa. And his website is tartariaempire.com. I think that's the rubbish truck there, so that should go in a minute. I think they're just emptying bins and then it will go, yeah? But yeah, so we're jumping straight back in to the narrative, yeah? Let me see who's in the dance. Let me see who's in the dance, who's reached here, yeah? Looking for my mafians and mafianas. I wonder if cause he's here, man, I need some type of moderator in here. Yesterday I was just blocking people, man. Like, there's so many silly comments, yeah, I was just blocking people. I need Cuzzy to do that, man. I can't focus on that. I need to open my other backup account so I can do it from here. So I'm not always staring in the screen like this. I know I look like an old man with eye problems when I'm doing this, yeah. So I need to activate on that, but bear with me, yeah. I'll get all of that sorted. Shout out to anybody who's here and here to learn and here to stay. If you're here, oh, Jaguar writes, Jaguar Grant says, I got Black Europa, so she can tell you about my book, Black Europa, The Missing Keys, which is one of my most potent books. I love that book, right? Yeah, you see that squirrel there? I'm talking to my cat. You for nyam them. You see me? Look. There was a squirrel up there on the wall and that. That's what he's looking at. You for nyam them. You for catch them. Yeah? He's only about 3 months. But you for catch them and nyam them. Yeah? Sorry. See, now I move this. I'm just making it difficult for myself. Alright, cool. Yeah, so we're going to jump straight back in where we left off, which was page 128 out of 443. So we still got quite a lot to read through in this book. Let's just jump into it now, yeah? Yeah, so I'll go back to where we were, just backtrack a couple pages so we can run back into the same theme that we were speaking about yesterday. So if you weren't here yesterday, you'll kind of catch on to what we're saying, yeah? So as I said, why were the orphans mostly YT children? Many of the orphan-trained children were of Irish, German and Scandinavian descent, a stark contrast to the copper-coloured people described in early American history. So if we look at the records of like Christopher Columbus and Hernando Cortez and Amerigo Vespucci, they all reported dark-skinned people. Some had woolly hair, some had straight hair, but they called them Ethiopians or blackamoors or just Moors. That's how they were reported in these early journals. Now, as soon as we get past, when we get to colonialism now, with all these YTs coming, all of a sudden now, the cities are being repopulated with these type of people that don't look nothing like the copper-coloured people that are being described in Columbus's journal or Hernando Cortez's journal. So where did all the coloured people go? Do you understand what I'm saying? So is there some type of cover-up where they cleaned us out of the cities and repopulated these cities with these people, and gave a false narrative behind. Obviously, I said they've been photoshopping a lot of these, a lot of the pictures that you see with the people in these cities. Yeah, they've photoshopped them people in there. And then the ones that are not photoshopped, which are genuine YT people in the cities, you can see, hold on, they don't look like they've reached a level of progress to be making these big gargantuan, beautifully decorated buildings. They're running around in horse and buggy, yeah? But the stuff that we're looking at, these buildings and stuff, look like they could rather have been built today with technology that we have today. So something's not adding up. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we all know how YT function, how they're not trustworthy people. I'm talking about the authorities. I'm not talking about everyday people on your street level. I'm talking about these YT authorities are not trustworthy. Turn to the book of John and read chapter 8, verse 44, and you'll understand what I'm talking about as to why I say that. It's not a race thing, it's just a fact, yeah? So, could this have been an attempt to replace the original indigenous population with a new Europeanized one, right? Where were these orphans placed? The orphan trains primarily sent children to the Midwest and the Western United States, lands that were previously inhabited by indigenous people. Many of these children were adopted by settlers who were, and I don't like that word settler, right? Because anybody else, they call them terrorists or they call them some kind of derogatory name. But anytime they're talking about themselves, they try and lighten the word, talking about settlers. They ain't no settlers, Dan. Do you understand? They're illegal. They're illegal immigrants, just like they call other people today. That's what they are. So I don't like that word settlers. I don't use it. I replace it. These are illegal immigrants or colonialists, right? Who were given land through programs like the Homestead Act. So they were giving land to their own YT people to repopulate these cities, right? Many of these children, could the orphan trains have served as a restocking program for repopulating areas that were wiped out during the reset, right? The forced reclassification of black natives into freed slaves, right? One of the biggest historical manipulations of the post-reset world was the changing of identities. Why did they have to change our identities? What's the point in that? Why is it so important for you to change our name from Moors or Indians or whatever it is into African American or slaves? What type of narrative is that serving? It's not just for nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Many people who were originally classified as indigenous or autochthonous Native American were later classified as Negro, yeah, or freedmen. After the Civil War, look at the Dawes Act. The Dawes Act did that, and other acts as well, but look at the Dawes Act, yeah? Examples of identity reclassification. Census records from 1700s to 1800s show that many melanated native tribes were forced to reclassify as Negro or colored, yeah, after slavery ended. Why? Why was that so important, right? What are they hiding? As I said, the Dawes Act or the Dawes Rolls, 1898 till 1914, forced many black natives to choose between registering as a black or Indian. So they gave you the choice, right? Those who didn't comply lost their land and status. The 5 civilized tribes, which is Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, the Creek nations like the Yamasee and the Yamacraw and all of them, yeah, and the Seminole. You know about the Seminole Wars, right? If you don't, you should look into that for yourself and do your own independent study on it. The Seminole Wars, the Trail of Tears, all of that, right? Originally, these 5 civilized tribes originally had a large melanated population right there. They had a massive presence in America, yeah? After the reset, many were excluded from tribal recognition. In today's school, they don't teach us that the real natives of America or Amaruka was melanated people. They tell us them Native Americans is the native people of America, which is bullshit. Them people there come from Asia, and they come from even Russia, Siberia, coming through the Bering Strait and shit much later. Certain Chinese came with Ho Shang in his fleet of ships in 459 AD. That's real late. They landed in California. They mixed in and created these, what we're calling Native Americans, right? Before that, you had Olmecs or Olmeca, right? Dark-skinned people. Even the Maya were dark-skinned people before they started mixing out, yeah? The Aztecs were dark-skinned Indians before they started mixing out. Hold on. Could this mean that the so-called African slaves in America were, in fact, the original Native Americans reclassified and stripped of their history? Instead of removing the original Tartarian population through war alone, it may have been easier to erase their identity and merge them into a new fabricated narrative, what we're calling today African American. And they're telling us all of us are the sons and daughters of slaves. We was all running around the Serengeti in a leopard skin loincloth, swinging from trees and shit. That's the narrative they want to sell you, right? The role of the boarding schools, we went into this also, so let's retouch this, right? The role of the boarding schools and Indian adoption programs. From the late 1800s to the mid 1900s, Native American children were forcibly removed from their families and sent to boarding schools, right? Where they were taught to abandon their culture, their language and their history. Could this have been an extension of the orphan train replacement program? So like they were repopulating these cities with all these YT youths, these cabbage patch and incubator babies, right? They were sending the real Tartarians to these boarding schools and getting us out of here. They don't want us here, they're getting us out of here. So they were sending us to a totally different place, right? Children were forbidden from speaking their native languages. So not many people don't even know what the native language of the Americans was or used, because they totally wiped the history of America before 1492. Do you understand what I'm saying? So children were forbidden from speaking their native languages. They were given English names and taught Western history. Many disappeared and some unalived, yeah? Possibly adopted into YT families. Were the black Native Americans and Tartarian survivors completely erased through adoption and forced education? How the reset created the modern image of Native Americans. It's too bright here, I've got to keep my things on until I look on here, right? How the reset created the modern image of Native Americans. After the destruction of Tartaria and the removal of the melanated Native Americans, or Amarukans, right, a new image of native identity was constructed. They told us them folk there was the Native Americans. They are not Native Americans, to the point where even they realize now, you got Native Americans that are coming out and talking, saying, look, the real Native Americans is the melanated people, because they started seeing through this game now. Yeah, it wasn't like this about 10 years ago. They're not speaking like this. But now they've studied all the evidence. Even they're coming out and saying, yo, Dan, them black people is... Because remember, it's in their records too. They have oral traditions saying, yo, an older race was here before us. Yeah? Giant, dark-skinned people. They're talking about Olmecs, yeah? Anyway, let's go forward. After the destruction of Tartaria and the removal of the Amarukans, the Autonomous Indians, a new image of native identity was constructed. Hollywood and media played a role in reshaping the Indian identity. All them John Wayne movies, cowboys and Indians and shit, the new frontier, that played a part in reshaping this new world narrative about the Americas, about us as slaves, about this Native American thing. Hollywood is a big part of this, you understand? Even now, right? The Buffalo Bill Wild West show, 1883, helped create the stereotype of the feather-wearing native, right? Anthropologists began defining Indians only as those who fit the new narrative, yeah? Excluding Amarukans, meaning melanated autochthonous Indians. Remember, the word Indian is from the word indigo. It's not from the country India. The country India did not exist until the British went into that area and mashed up the area and drew new borders. This is India, this is Pakistan, this is Bangladesh. That didn't come to the 19th and 20th centuries. So here in 1492, when they're using the word Indian to describe us, they're talking about indigo, dark-skinned people. That's why they interchange the word with Moor, which means dark black, yeah? Or Ethiopian, which is basically the same thing, right? Y'all guys with me, yeah? Tap up the screen and share this live. If you haven't hit the heart me and get yourself in the fan club, man. It's going to benefit you. Could the entire Native American identity we know today be a fabricated replacement for the erased autochthonous melanated native Tartarians, right? The truth is still out there. What now? The more we investigate, the more we find undeniable evidence that a major historical reset took place. One that involved, one, the erasure of an entire civilization, brackets Tartaria, close brackets. The replacement, two, the replacement of native black Americans with a new indigenous narrative. 3. The use of orphan trains to repopulate America with European settlers. 4. The forced reclassification of people through census manipulation and government policies. This sounds exactly like our governments today. Like, this is the stuff, it don't take a leap of faith to believe this. You understand what I'm saying? What can we do now? Research old census records, yeah, maps and historical documents to trace what really happened. We're having an investigation here, yeah. Connect with descendants of black Native American tribes who still hold oral history. Some of our grandmothers and grandfathers, they still have the oral history which was passed down, yeah, all the way down our line into now, right? We need to challenge mainstream historical narratives and question the role of major institutions in rewriting history, like the Carnegie Institute and stuff, what we was talking about, right? The Smithsonian Institution and stuff. The truth is out there, buried beneath layers of deception. Are we ready to recover it? Are you ready to recover it? It's going to take bravery. It's not for the faint-hearted, right? What was Negro land on historical maps? Negro land appears on 17th and 18th century European maps of Africa, referring to a region of West Africa that included kingdoms like Benin, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. These are powerful kingdoms that made Europe look like some backwater thing. If you compare Mali in the 13th century with London, London is some little backwater village compared to Mali, Mansa Musa and them man there. If you compare it to Benin, if you compare it to Ouagadougou, which we call in Ghana, the Kingdom of Gold or the Gold Kingdom, yeah, and Songhai and stuff. Those were little backwater villages like Paris and London, and they ain't got no money or no gold or no prosperity. Do you understand? This region, West Africa, which before it was called Negro land, by the way, was called Judah. The Israelites that ran off when the Romans smashed down the temple, they ran into West Africa. Do you understand that? So it was called Judea all the way up to the 18th century. Then it was changed to Negro land. Then it was changed to what we call West Africa today, right? But listen, this region was a major center of trade, wealth, and learning before colonial powers redrew African borders, excuse me. European explorers, particularly those involved in the transatlantic slave trade, which is another psyop, we'll get to that, referred to the region as Negro land because it was home to several powerful black kingdoms. Example, map of Negro land. Emmanuel Bowen's 1747 map of Negro land and Guinea clearly labels Negro land in West Africa. Yeah, so you can look at that yourself. Emmanuel Bowen's 1747 map, yeah. John Kerry's 1805 map of Africa also references Negro land near the Gold Coast and Slave Coast, right? But does the term Negro land ever appear on maps in America? The answer is yes. Was Negro land in the Americas? While most mainstream maps place Negro land in West Africa, some researchers argue that early maps suggest black civilizations also existed in America, in the Americas, so that's North, Central, and South, prior to European colonization, yeah? Clues that suggest Negro land may have also referenced the Americas. So it's not saying, oh, Negro land went in West Africa, it was in America. It was saying, yo, it was also used for America. Do you understand? The presence of Moors in early American accounts, yeah? Several early European explorers reported encountering dark-skinned, woolly-haired indigenous people in the Americas. The demon that the history remembers as Sir Francis Drake and early Spanish records describe Native American tribes with features resembling those of Africans and Moors, yeah? Old maps referencing black populations in the Americas. Some pre-1700 maps include terms like Ethiopian Ocean, which today we're calling the Atlantic Ocean. It was called the Ethiopian Ocean because Africans crossed over that ocean and ended up in America. Whether you like it or not, you who's calling yourself FBA, these are historical facts. Yeah, we have to stick by the facts because there ain't many of them. Yeah, everything else is speculation, but we do have facts. And the fact is that that ocean was called the Ethiopian Ocean, and people were sailing over there from Mali Empire, Mansa Musa and them, and mixing with the indigenous Yamasi Indians and stuff, right? And also in the time of the 25th dynasty from Kush, they were sailing over there and finding the Americas. It was known as the Free Lands, you understand, the Greater Antilles, because the Mzungu, they hadn't reached there yet. So it's like a paradise. Yo, all this stuff in Europe is full of Muzungu. We fighting Muzungu. But when we cross over here, we can get away from them. And we living in this beautiful land today we're calling the Americas. Yeah? Anyway, let me go forward, yeah? And not just the Americas, also the Caribbean, right? Which is part of the Americas. A 1562 map by Diego Gutierrez labels a portion of South America as Regio Ethiopium, the region of the Ethiopians who sailed over there, right? 16th and 17th century Jesuit missionary writings mention groups of dark-skinned peoples living in Florida, Louisiana, which was called Haiti, which was part of Haiti Empire, Louisiana, and the Mississippi Valley, places like Cahokia, before European colonization, right? Could Negroland then have been a term that originally described both parts of Africa and regions of the Americas that had large black populations? The answer is a resounding yes. 3. Ethiopia in the Americas, a forgotten connection. Ethiopia is one of the oldest names used for lands inhabited by dark-skinned peoples, yeah? In ancient times, it did not just refer to modern-day Ethiopia, but was used by the Greeks, the Romans, and the Arabs to describe all black civilizations across Africa and beyond, right? There are historical references to Ethiopia in the Americas, particularly in South America and the Caribbean. Some early European maps labeled portions of Brazil, Venezuela, and the Caribbean as Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Ocean, many pre-18th century maps label the South Atlantic as the Ethiopian Ocean, showing a link between Africa and the Americas. You guys with me? So here I started showing you some maps, right? Oh, these are old maps, pre-17th, 17th century, right? And you can raw see that places on there in America are called Ethiopia, and in the Caribbean. I'm not going to focus too much on these maps because it just takes too much to zoom in, yeah? But if you get this book yourself, you can critique these clippings for yourself, and you can also go on his website and you can, I think there's maps you can purchase and there's maps that you can download, right? Example maps mentioning Ethiopia. A 1625 world map labels the South Atlantic Ocean as the Mare Ethiopiacum, or Ethiopian Ocean. A 1748 French map by Jean-Baptiste Nolin places Ethiopia near Brazil and the Caribbean. Could Ethiopia have been an ancient name for regions in the Americas that housed large dark-skinned populations before European colonization? 4. How does this relate to the Tartary reset and orphan trains? If black civilizations were present in the Americas before the arrival of Europeans, and if names like Negroland and Ethiopia were erased from maps, right, then the question arises, what happened to these original populations that were described, right? Step 1, depopulation of the Americas, which was between the 1600s and the 1800s. The mud flood theory suggests that a major cataclysmic event, brackets, either natural or engineered, because we can't say whether this cataclysm, this mud flood or whatever, was natural or if it was engineered. It seems to me that it was engineered, but we can't definitely say, right, at this point. But this thing anyway wiped out large civilizations around the world. We're not just talking about America, right? Diseases like smallpox and plagues devastated native populations. I just said that to you. They used germs, right? But some researchers believe these events were orchestrated to justify population replacement. Step 2, orphan trains as a population replacement program which ran from 1854 till 1929. Between 1854 and 1929, over 250,000 children were relocated across the US via orphan trains. That means if 250,000 children were relocated, there's 500,000 parents that are unaccounted for, because these children don't have no papers, they don't have no birth certificate, they don't have no parents. Each child needs 2 parents. So if there's 250,000 children, that means there's 500,000 adults. Altogether, that's 750,000 people. Do you understand that? Right? These orphans were mostly European children, which may have been an intentional effort to repopulate areas where the original indigenous populations had been removed. Does that make sense? Step 3, the systematic erasure of melanated indigenous identity. The original melanated indigenous people may have been forcibly reclassified as Negro or freed men. Many black native tribes were denied federal recognition and had their lands taken away. Yeah, the Dawes Rolls, 1898 till 1914, forced indigenous people to register as either Indian or Negro, stripping away melanated indigenous heritage. Were the orphan trains an essential part of repopulating the Americas after a great reset that removed the black indigenous populations? What do you think, guys? Put it in the comment. Is this making sense? Do you think, hold on, this sounds like the thing, like, yo, that's what happened. That's why they're telling us we was all slaves and we've always been slaves, when really we are the Tartarians. Those people that they're photoshopping into the pictures and stuff, they ain't got nothing to do with no Tartarian stuff. If you feel like that's the case, put it in the comments. I'll come and read through your comments in a minute, because I know you guys are going to put stuff in the comments. Let me scroll down to the bottom and I'll read from the bottom up when I take a break and read through your comments, yeah? Where can you find evidence of these maps? If you want to verify these historical connections for yourself, here's where to look, all right? Take note. Take out your pen and your notepad. Online map archives, right? David Rumsey, yeah? Not Ramsey, Rumsey, R-U-M-S-E-Y. David Rumsey Historical Map Collection. You can find that at www.davidrumsey.com, right? The Library of Congress Map Division. You can find that at www.loc without a K, just loc.gov/maps, yeah? The British Library Online Maps, www.bl.uk/maps, yeah? Old Maps Online, www.oldmapsonline.org, right? So there's some things for you to look at for your own homework, right? Key historical maps to research. Now, some of the key maps that you want to research is 1747 Emmanuel Bowen map of Negro land, that's Africa, right? 1562 Diego Gutierrez map of South America as Ethiopia, which is called Regio Ethiopium, yeah? 1625 world map featuring Mare Ethiopiacum, or the Ethiopian Ocean, right? 1748 John Baptiste Nolan's map of South America, yeah? Cross-referencing these maps, if you study them all together, yeah, with early colonial writings and indigenous oral histories, may reveal even more about the lost history of the black populations in the Americas. Bear with me 1 minute, let me take some water. Final thoughts, right? Are we ready to reclaim the true history? Are you? Are you ready to reclaim the true history? Remember what I said? You're gonna have to be brave. Everything you hear you ain't gonna like. There are gonna be some things that will make you feel depressed. There'll be some things that might insult your intelligence, but you have to be willing to just put all that aside and just go through and follow where the research leads you, and leave all the emotional stuff aside, because this is not for the faint-hearted. This is not for everyone. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you're ready to find the truth, roll your sleeves up, put all your emotions aside, and follow where the research leads you, okay? Hold on. The evidence suggests that history has been rewritten, yeah? Erasing the presence of black indigenous civilizations in the Americas. Old maps contain clues that Negro land and Ethiopia may not have been confined to Africa. It's not just Africa that they were calling that. There's places in America and stuff that they was calling that, okay? And even European history has been washed out, right? There is evidence that black Native Americans were reclassified and removed from history. The orphan train movement appears to have been a deliberate population replacement strategy. That makes sense of the orphan trains. The orphan trains and all of that stuff don't make no sense unless we're coming from this angle. When we come from this angle, it fits perfectly. Oh shit, they was repopulating this bitch after they cleaned us out. They started using these cabbage patch babies they're growing in the field and shit, right? And these incubator babies, they hatching from eggs and putting in incubators. They sent them on trains and started filling back up these cities, especially where we was, where we're now wiped out and put in boarding schools. Okay, this is an empty space. Yo, send 50,000 of them there and give them a new history. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, it is time for us to re-examine the maps, documents, and oral histories. We got work to do, guys, yeah, that tell a complete different story from the official narrative, which is his story. That's not our story, right? The orphan train movement and mass rehoming of children. I know some things sound like they're repeating, but bear with me, and he'll move into other stuff, yeah? Between 1854 and 1929, over 250,000 to 500,000 YT European children were shipped across the United States, Mexico, and Canada in what is now called the orphan train movement. And bear in mind also, they used these people, adults, to lighten the population. Go there and marry a native, a Pocahontas woman, and breed her out and create these new races that we're calling today like Mexicans and different certain types of Spanish people or Latin people. Those are the mixture. The man, they came over, they were sent over to mix out our women and mix out our population. So bear that in mind too, right? Key questions about the orphan trains. Where did all these orphan children come from? Obviously, we know some of them are the remnants of Tartarian children, right? And some of them are actually Cabbage Patch children and incubator babies, right? Simps, right? Many were from poor houses and orphanages in New York, Boston, and other port cities. Some were abandoned children of new European immigrants, but others seem to have no clear ancestry or family background. Those are the Cabbage Patch and the incubator kids. Could some of these children have been removed from their original families and rebranded as orphans to hide a larger agenda? Yes, and I'm not just talking about indigenous. You got to understand Tartary was multi-ethnic. So there are white children that are also remnants of Tartaria. Don't get that twisted. Don't make this a black thing, like the only Tartarians are black people. We're not saying that. Do you understand? Some of these YT children, they also are the children of the Tartarians. You understand? So yeah, could some of these children have been removed from their original families and rebranded as orphans to hide a larger agenda? Why were they sent across the country? They were placed in the Midwest. That's where melanated people was. The South, melanated people. The Westland, melanated people. When they first came, they only had 13 colonies on the East Coast. They never had the whole of America. They bought Louisiana off the French, and they bought Mexico and California off the Spanish. The French were there before the English, and the Spanish was there before the French. Do you understand that? Right? The orphan train program ensured that these children were raised in Americanized environments, yeah, disconnecting them from any past cultural heritage. Many were given new names. Your name's not Kunta Kinte. Now your name's John, yeah? New families and new identities, erasing their true origins. Could the orphan train movement have been a part of a Tartarian reset program? It seems the case, guys. Do you agree with me? A depopulated land needs people to run it. Instead of allowing the old world to rebuild, a new population was introduced to replace it. These children grew up disconnected from any knowledge of the past and became the foundation of the new American identity, yeah? Were these, because look, if you get a black American, he's called an African American. If you get a Chinese American, he's called a Chinese American. If you get an Asian American, he's called an Asian American, yeah? If you get a white American, he's just called an American, as if he's the original American. That's done deliberately. How come he's not called a European American? You understand what I'm saying? It's just, oh, he's American, but you have to be a black American. Why? You was here before him. How come he ain't called a European American? We need to get rid of all these words, all these terms, because remember, words are spells. English is a cursive language. You have to spell the word. The spell is, they put spells on us, you understand? And the Bible is a book of spells, meaning they took the original and changed it into that gobbledygoo and put a bunch of spells on it to trap us. Let me go forward. Yeah, were these children intentionally reseeded into America to replace the Tartarians and ensure the past was forgotten? European immigration and the repopulation of America. Between 1820 and 1924, over 33 million Europeans, 33 degrees Freemasonry, 33 million Europeans migrated to the United States. This was the largest population shift in American history, right? Before 1820, the US population was still relatively low. after 1820, massive waves of Europeans suddenly flooded in. 1820 is around the time Tartary was falling or had already fell, right? If the US was already inhabited before the discovery of America, and it was, what happened to the previous inhabitants who was there, right? Were the newly arrived Europeans settling into lands that were once part of the Tartarian Empire, right? So here it says, I'm going to show you, this is the Children's Aid Society, CAS. We learned about them yesterday, along with the role of the Vatican and the role of Protestant missionaries and stuff in this orphan train business. And here you see at the bottom a certificate which is talking about the removal of children, right? And it's signed off. I'm going to read on there what it says. It says, Children's Aid Society, 105 East 22nd Street, New York. It says, the society reserves the right to remove the child previous to legal adoption if at any time the circumstances of the home become such as in the judgment of the agent are injurious to the child's future prospects. Children are not allowed to correspond with any friends or relatives without obtaining permission to do so from the society. So they can't get in contact with their original family or their friend. Why? What is that about? You understand what I'm saying? And then here it says train of hope and sorrow. So this is a newspaper article where it says a train of hope. You can see the orphan children on the train, right? So we can see what they're trying to hide here, what was going on in there for them to build up America into what it is today. All of this evil went on in the background. They're saying, oh, it's the greatest nation in the world, the land of the free, and all of this bullshit, right? British and Scots, Irish, British and Scottish and Irish, 1600s to 1800s, arrived first, settling in the East Coast. They had 13 colonies, and then the South, taking Louisiana and stuff off the French, yeah? Germans and Scandinavians, 1700s to 1900s, moved into the Midwest and the farming regions. They were given the best farming lands. Irish and Italians, 1800s to 1900s, took over urban areas like New York, Chicago, Boston, and Philadelphia. All of them are power spots. New York, yeah, Chicago, Boston, and Philadelphia are all power spots in the Tartarian Empire. Don't get it twisted, right? Slavic, JEW-ish, and Eastern Europeans, late 1800s to early 1900s, settled in cities and industrial centers, yeah, like Detroit. Did this massive influx of people coincide with the erasure of Tartarian cities and their replacement with a modern society? It seems the case. The destruction of Tartarian cities and the Great Fires. One of the biggest clues that something unnatural happened, the sun is jumping back out. This page is just glistening in my eyes. One of the biggest clues that something unnatural happened is the mysterious destruction of entire cities in the 1800s, which paved the way for European settlers to move in. Examples of major city resets. The Great Chicago Fire, 1871, destroyed most of Chicago, allowing for a complete redesign, right? Great Boston Fire, 1872, the year after, wiped out entire sections of the city right before a new wave of European migration. San Francisco earthquake and fire, 1906, massive destruction followed by a rapid rebuilding effort. Seattle fire, 1889, cleared the city of previous architecture, allowing for a fresh start. New York City fires, multiple of them between the 1800s and 1900s. New York was very important. The Statue of Liberty is built on a star fort. Do not believe me? Go and research it for yourself, right? So the New York City fires, loads of them between 1800s and 1900s, continually reset different districts of the city. Did these fires and natural disasters erase Tartarian infrastructure, making way for new European migrants to rebuild over it? The role of orphans in shaping the new society. If the Tartarian civilization was erased, the orphan-trained children and newly arriving European immigrants would become the new society. Orphans were given land and jobs, ensuring they assimilated into this new ideology of this new America, rather than questioning their past or questioning America's past, yeah? Orphan boys became farmers, laborers, and industrial workers, helping to rebuild a post-reset world. Orphan girls became housekeepers and factory workers, ensuring the new culture was controlled. They were raised with no knowledge of Tartaria or the lost past, making them the perfect candidates for reshaping the future. They're like blank sheets. You can just fill them up with whatever iOS system you need, right? If entire generations grew up disconnected from the old world, they would never question what was lost. The hidden truth behind the Cabbage Patch Kids. So we're going back to the Cabbage Patch Kids. So let me have a look at a few of your comments before we veer off back into the Cabbage Patch Kids, yeah? And then I'll go straight back into it. This publication is from somebody else. It's from Tartaria, Full Hidden History Unlocked, Shudwini Noventa, and there you see his website. This book came out in 2025, so it's basically a fresh take on Tartaria. This is for the brother here asking a brighter health. He's asking his brother reading his own publication, so now you know. Go and get the book and read it for yourself, pal. Miss Moneypenny says, built on what? Built on the old world, built on older cities. And Hawaii, yes, Hawaii too. Black Wall Street also, but that comes a bit later. That's after slavery, when slavery was abolished and we built up our own economic system. Tulsa, Black Wall Street and all that stuff. That's a bit later, right? Same going on. D. Abba says, same going on in the Middle East right now. Yeah, they never stop doing what they're doing, and in Africa, and in places like Congo and stuff, they're doing the same. See, this is why I need my other phone, because then I can just look in the phone and go through your comments and stuff without having to look like I'm straining my eyes. Blue Pill says Tartarian were black Muslim royals who had made first new modern civilization with the algebra. I don't believe in no Tartarians were no black Muslims, brother. It only takes 25% to change societal norms, says Christopher Taylan Aziz. Okay. And ancient Egypt is Kemet, yes. Christopher Thailand Aziz said, good morning. We're not mourning here, brother. Grand rising, right? We're not mourning nobody passed. Yeah, they did. JGTD, go and look at that. They had a program where they were lightening the indigenous population. So they were sending people from Europe to mix out the women to make today what's called Latin America. Those are made. Those were created by YTs coming over and mixing with Olmec people and Mayas and Aztec that was dark as me and you. So it lightened out the populations into what you're calling Latin America today. Many of them, right? Hear this guy, all black people are descendants of Africa. Only Native Americans are the indigenous Indians, not black. You just sound like an idiot. This is Butterfly 2015, right? And melanated people are indigenous to the planet. We were seeded on Earth when all the continents were connected in one. So I don't know what you're talking about. You need to go on one of them FBA pages, man. This is not the page for you. Karma Coma says, interesting how orphans have been immortalized into popular culture. The films Oliver Twist and Annie. We was talking about this yesterday as to how many of these films, if you go back, like Annie and all these Oliver Twist stuff, we name check both of these, yeah? It's showing you orphans. They're all orphans in them films and shit. Please, sir, can I have some more? You know, Oliver Twist and that. The focus is always on orphans. My sister had Annie on one of them VHS tapes, yeah? She used to watch it religiously. I want to say she used to watch it every day until me and my brother got so fed up, we smashed the tape. And my mum battered us for smashing her tape. She had this tape for years, you know. Every day, my baby sister's watching this Annie, man, this ginger girl hair. And you see her hair was kind of like, it's not naive, but it was like an afro, right? And this Annie with the freckles and stuff. And I got so fed up of this movie, yeah. One day, we must have been about 12, 13. Me and my brother's like, yo, shall we mash up the tape? We really mashed up a tape, you know. My mum was pissed. Why have you mashed up a tape? smacked us up. So I'm very familiar with Annie and Oliver Twist. You get me? But yeah, you're right there, and that's Karma Coma. We was literally speaking about this yesterday. So they taught them with movies like Birth of a Nation. They taught the world. They reshaped it. Hollywood is one of the best tools that you can use to reshape a narrative. Anything, they will tell you how they want you to remember anything historical. So when they make a history movie in Hollywood or any kind of cowboy movie and stuff, it's to make you think a certain way. It's to make the world think this way about Native Americans or about the colonization of America or about African slavery or the slave trade. That's why I don't watch them movies. 12 Years a Slave, that was made in Hollywood. I don't want to watch it because that's them trying to reshape the narrative for you. Yeah, or what's that Wonder Woman King? I don't watch none of them. People ask, why don't you watch it? It's very good, you know. I don't need Hollywood to tell me nothing about history. I'll do my own research and come to my own conclusions. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a researcher. I write books for a living. So I don't need Hollywood to tell me, oh, here's Malcolm X movie. I might watch a few, like, oh, Spike Lee made Malcolm X or whatever, but I'm very wary of Hollywood. Why don't they? They're telling you 12 years a slave. What about 10,500 years as a god? Make me that movie and I'll watch it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't play this game that Hollywood are playing. So yes, Hollywood is one of the best ways to brainwash people and come with this new John Wayne narrative and shit, as I call it. I need some moderators in this room. I've got too much people in here just trying to make trouble, right? So I need, if you guys want to, if anyone here that is regular, I mean, not somebody who has no dialogue with me. You have to have built up some type of me and you understand? I know who you are. If any one of you regulars want to volunteer to be moderators, please get in my DM so I can make you a moderator, right? Greetings, Christoph Solo. Yeah, Hollywood whitewashes a lot of things. Look at the movie Troy. In the movie Troy, just to give you one example, yeah, is about the Trojan War, right? The Trojans were melanated folk, right? And also, one of the main characters in the Trojan story, if you read Homer's Odyssey or the Ethiopicus and them old texts, it tells you about a king that came from Ethiopia and Kemet. He was both king of Ethiopia and Kemet at the same time, and his name was Memnon, and he was a demigod. And him and Achilles clashed. They had this mighty war where the gods came, yeah, down from Olympus just to watch this war. It lasted all day. The heavens and the earth shook because both of them were demigods. Yeah, none of them could score the winning blow. And then in the end, Achilles won. But Memnon was the only dude to draw blood from Achilles, right? They didn't even put this in the movie. They left Memnon entirely out. It said Memnon came from Ethiopia with an army so massive, they was unable to number this army. And the Greeks worshipped him, an Ethiopian king. Hollywood says, you know what, let's just leave him out. We'll just put Achilles and my man Hector, and we'll just run with that. That's what you call a whitewashing. But this is what Hollywood does. You understand what I'm saying? Grand Rising, Gabriel. That's a good shout. Soul Finder, Paranormal Paul. Could the destroyers have come from beyond the ice wall? Yes. What you call the custodians, the gatekeepers, right? The ones at the top. Some of them are non-human. But that's for another discussion when we're talking about that type of stuff, like Antarctica and the ice walls and the non-human entities which are gatekeeping our world, which I call the chicken farm. We'll do another live and speak about the different ones of them, reptilians and Nordics and Greys and all that type of stuff, right? Admiral Byrd, Admiral Richard E. Byrd, Operation High Jump, Operation Fishbowl, that kind of stuff needs its own life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Here I just want to focus on what he's put in this book. Yeah, even Argentina, Diaba, them places were melanated before they were wiped out and filled in with Messi and them. Lionel Messi and them, yeah. Yeah, I've got a book, Blue Pill, called, like Jaguar said in the comments, Black Europa, The Missing Keys. You want to go and have a look at that book, yeah? And not all of them were Muslims, no. Some were Muslims, some were Catholic, and some were Israelites. All this Muslim thing, what these jihadi Johns like to do, here's not the place for it. I was born in Islam. You can't come here and give me no jihadi John thing, because I'll just dash you out the dance, yeah? Everybody in Europe, black Europe, was not Muslim. There was just as much black Catholics, yeah, black Protestants, as much as a black Muslim. So stop it, right? Like, don't come here to sell Islam to me, or she'll be blocked. Because I ain't buying it. Islam is just as corrupt in the form it is today as any other religion. Don't come here and sell Islam. You'll be blocked permanently. And if you say slavery wasn't real, like this Matt guy, he's just got himself blocked. Yeah, because to me, that's disrespect. You can say it's a psyop and what it's not exactly how they told us, but for you to come here and deny the slave coast and the castles that's in Ghana and stuff, you just sound like you're not supposed to be here. So you blocked. So be careful what you say, guys, because I'm just as ignorant as I am knowledgeable. Look in my eyes. I'm just as ignorant as I am knowledgeable. I'm not a turn the cheek guy. I'll get you up out of here quick, right? You can go and write the books and write your own books and do your own lives about what you're saying, yeah? Here is for the people who want to go by facts, not by beliefs or emotions or FBA, which to me is a cult, right? Go online, Miss Moneypenny. If you're talking about the book, where can you get the book? What do you mean, where can you get the book? Go online, type the name in, yeah? And online will tell you where you can buy the book, innit? I think that's enough. Let me go back in here and keep the dance cooking. Yeah, remember guys, tap the screen, share this live. If you've not hit that orange heart me, that means you don't want to be in the fan club, you don't want to win none of my books or nothing, right? Help me fill out the gift gallery as well, which means every time we go live, we'll appeal to more people. We had 110 yesterday, we got 162 here today. So if you want the next time to have 200 and something or 300 and something and our influence keep growing, then you have to help me fill out this gift gallery. There's stuff in there that costs one TikTok coin. There's probably one thing in there like that crown that is 299 coins. You don't have to do that. You don't have to even send anything. But I'm saying it would help if you value what I'm doing here and what I'm saying here, and you want me to come over and over and get through all of this stuff and do other lives, then you have to do your part, because all wars need funding, and we are at war. We are in a spiritual warfare. Shout out to Anika, yeah, and everyone else. Donald Trump and them can't make war with Iran without funding. Yeah, nobody can make war without funding. We seem to think the revolution is free, that we can just sit down and listen to people without doing anything on our side to help these people, to push them forward, to get their books or their messages out. You've got to do your part. All of us have got a role to play. You understand? Let's dance. Yeah, so the hidden truth behind the Cabbage Patch children. We went into this yesterday, but he seems to go back into it, so let's follow him, yeah? The transition from the orphan train era to institutionalization to psychological programming seems to follow a clear pattern. Step 1, the mud flood reset, early 1800s. Entire Tartarian cities buried under mud. Population displaced, orphan numbers explodes, yeah? Orphan trains erase Tartarian heritage. Step 2, the institutionalization of these orphans. That was between 1930s to 1960s. State-controlled orphanages replace orphan trains, yeah? So the orphan trains are done now. Now we got all these orphan children. Now we got state-controlled orphanages, like where you found Annie and Oliver Twist and them. You understand what I'm saying? So, excuse me. Psychological experiments, mind control, and eugenics programs target orphans. Remember we said to research Margaret Sanger, eugenics and family planning, right? Step 3, cultural normalization of lost children. That was between the 1980s to the present, right? Cabbage Patch Kids make mass adoption a cute, harmless game. So them toys that they put out, the Cabbage Patch children toys, now it makes adoption this, you understand, it's desensitized the population. Everybody now want to adopt one of these cute little Cabbage Patch babies. They're not realizing that these are real babies that were grown in the Ross Clark field, like cabbage. You understand? Hold on. The real history of erased children is rewritten as a child-friendly fairy tale. Yeah, the idea of children appearing out of nowhere becomes fiction instead of fact. Yeah, and they really did appear out of nowhere. But after they did this cartoon, the Cabbage Patch Children, now they've made this fact into a fiction. If you tell people, they'll say, "Oh, you're talking about that cartoon. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You must be watching too much cartoons." You understand? If Tartary's destruction was a real event, then the systematic erasure of its surviving children would have been one of the final steps in rewriting history. Did Cabbage Patch babies exist as real historical foundings, later transformed into a toy narrative to suppress the truth? If you watched yesterday's live, I showed on this phone Alice Guy, who is called the Cabbage Patch Fairy, and there's a video on YouTube, 43 minutes long, where you hear a YT man actually talking about this, and you see her there pulling babies out the cabbage, literally pulling babies out the field. Alice Guy, I showed it for less than 3 minutes, and they flashed us up and restricted the live, so I had to stop showing it. They don't want us to touch this topic. If we were just talking some cap out here, just chatting shit, they won't be coming down on me this hard. They don't come down on everybody as hard as they come down on me. They don't even want me to build a following. What have I got on TikTok? What, 13,000.6? That's not like I've got 100,000 people or 200,000. They don't even want me to get no more than where I am now, because they just they can't have you listening to this type of stuff. Can't have you listening to somebody like me who's not easily fooled, who doesn't go for these emotional stuff, these COINTELPRO stuff, like this FBA stuff. They need me gone. Do you understand? I'm somebody who uses the pen. That means I'm not just here talking. I could be gone 100, 200 years from now. My books are still doing rounds. It's still benefiting people. All this cap in the comments, that's not for me. I don't go back and forth. You understand? I don't even debate with anybody who's not my equal. You have to write 17 books and do all these lives. Then if me and you disagree, then I can take you serious. But nobody in the comments, unless you're standing on a substantial body of work like me, I can't take none of this shit serious. I'm not coming down there to debate with nobody here, and that's not a disrespect. I'm just stating the fact, like John Henry Clark taught me. He says, I don't debate with my equals, yeah? He says, I only debate with my equals, everybody else I teach, yeah? So I'm teaching. Unless you're an equal like me, meaning you write books, and you do lives, and you got books all around the world like I have, then if me and you disagree, then we can have a public debate in front of people. But first, you're going to have to roll your sleeves up and write 17 books. Here is they're showing you here, these same orphan children. And here you can see the postcards which were common in the 1800s. Sorry. Yo, I have to put it this way, right? Yo, I hate this mirror thing on this thing, you know. But you see here, these postcards, there were tens of thousands of these postcards going around in the 1800s. You think it's just art? There's even ones with man delivering babies to people's doors and shit, man. Yeah? One thing is for certain. So this is not speculation or an assumption. This is certain. And it's that real history, the real history of orphans, lost civilizations, and forced assimilation has been carefully rewritten. That's a fact. Nobody can argue that. What else might be hidden in plain sight? So now we're coming to these 1800s, and it's got on there cloning. Yeah, sorry, human cloning, right? Oh, this is so hard when the thing is like the mirror's reversed. It just messes with my head. Like I'm going this way and I'm going that way. I'm going this way and I'm going that. Anyway, the mystery of the Cabbage Patch babies, manufactured or forgotten children of Tartaria. Which one do you guys think it is? Do you think these Cabbage Patch children were clone babies, or do you think these Cabbage Patch children are the remnants of Tartaria? I don't think these Cabbage Patch children are no remnants of Tartaria. I think it is Tartarian technology which is being used in the wrong way, because them Tartarians were growing like pumpkins as big as your house and shit. Vegetables as big as your house can feed entire villages and shit. What if these custodians, these gatekeepers, now they've got this technology, they're using it for the opposite thing. Yo, loud growing pumpkins, we can grow babies, grow them quick, grow giants and shit like that. Do you understand? That's my belief. It's not a fact, but that's where my research is making me lean towards. You understand? Now let's see what he says. Throughout history, certain phenomena arise that seem too strange to be coincidence. They appear out of nowhere with no clear explanation, yet are woven into the fabric of our modern society. One of the most bizarre of these anomalies is the Cabbage Patch Babies. Not just the dolls, them toys that they made to divert or change the narrative, but the legends, the myths, and eerily timed cultural narratives that surround them, yeah? For many, Cabbage Patch Kids are just a widely popular toy from the 1980s. But what if this cultural phenomenon was a remnant of a deeper hidden truth, yeah? Could the Cabbage Patch Baby concept actually be a symbolic retelling of real events, a representation of an erased group of children from our historical record, possibly tied to the Tartarian reset? Yeah, I agree. This chapter explores 1. The strange history of the Cabbage Patch Baby legend. 2. Connections to the orphan train movement and the founding hospitals, meaning incubator babies. Yeah. 3. The eerie similarities between real-life lost children and the Cabbage Patch narrative. 4. Whether the Cabbage Patch Kids hold subconscious clues to a larger erasure of Tartarian culture. Late 1800s, early 1900s posters announcing the arrival of children on US orphan trains were posted at train stations across the country. Distribution, in commas, of children was often conducted at opera houses, yeah, courthouses, and town halls. Other countries struggled to deal with large numbers of orphans too. In Paris in 1912, a baby raffle was held by a Paris foundling hospital to distribute orphan babies. Babies were more desirable than older children. A baby could be raised as a couple's own child. So here you see some of the posters of what we're talking about. I'll just hold it up for a second so you can just scan it for yourself. Right? The strange origin of Cabbage Patch Kids, more than just a toy, right? The Cabbage Patch Kid dolls, released in the 1980s, became one of the most popular toy lines in history. But what made them so different from other dolls was their bizarre backstory. Unlike typical dolls, which were marketed as being made in a factory, Cabbage Patch Kids were said to be born in cabbage patches and adopted by parents. The official Cabbage Patch Kid adoption story states: 1. The babies were found growing in a cabbage patch. 2. They were not born in hospitals or to parents, they simply appeared. 3. They had to be adopted by children, mimicking the orphan train and found in home systems, right? So that's kind of like desensitizing us to the reality of the Cabbage Patch. Now they're making it a fiction. By doing this, they've made it a fiction, do you understand? In most people's heads. This legend raises serious questions. 1. Why create a story where children are just found without parents, yeah? 2. Why were they not born naturally, but instead grown from the ground? 3. Could this legend be a distorted memory of a real event that was deliberately erased from history? Right? So here you see again them desensitizing the narrative and making it into a fiction, right? The historical parallel were the real Cabbage Patch babies? Were there real Cabbage Patch babies? Meaning, were there really babies being grown in the field and shit? Let's hear him. The concept of children appearing mysteriously without parents or records has been a real historical event. That's just, he's not saying the Cabbage Patch, he's saying the concept of children appearing mysteriously, that's real historical event, right? They appear with no parents and no records. That's real. Whether they're born in a field or not, these children here, they just appeared out of nowhere and they got no records, no birth certificate, no mum or dad, no nothing. That's fact, right? Particularly after resets such as the mud flood and the Industrial Revolution. The founding hospitals, 1600s to 1800s, were full of babies who had no origin and were simply left on the doorstep, right? The orphan trains, 1854 to 1929, took thousands of nameless children and scattered them across America. The Garbage Patch Babies, you see? As I said to you, this Cabbage Patch, in England they were called Garbage Pail or Garbage Pail Kids. So here he says the Garbage Patch Babies, as explored in previous chapter, were a group of abandoned children who seemed to appear out of nowhere in various hospitals and orphanages. Cabbage Patch Theory 1. The foundlings of a forgotten civilization. So this is one theory. He's got more than one theory. So this is the first one, right? One theory suggests that these Cabbage Patch babies were actually real children from Tartaria, suddenly appearing in orphanages, hospitals and abandoned locations because they were survivors of a global reset. Evidence that supports this theory, right? That they're really children of the Tartarians. One, the sheer number of abandoned infants during the 18th and 19th centuries does not match the birth rates. Two, many orphan children had no parents or birth records, just like the Cabbage Patch babies. Three, the erasure of Tartaria from history could have included wiping out an entire generation of children, only to have some of them resurface in orphanages. And here they have another article from a newspaper. Right? Cabbage Patch Theory 2, the genetic manipulation or artificial birth concept. I'm more leaning towards this because now they're showing you the incubator babies here. Coney Island that they exhibited at the World Fairs and shit, man. You see? So it says here, for the genetic manipulation or artificial birth concept, this is the second theory, right? Another theory suggests that Cabbage Patch babies represent an entirely different hidden truth, the possibility of artificially grown children. I lean more towards that. Consider these questions. One, could an advanced civilization like Tartaria have had methods of artificial reproduction? Yes, we've talked about it with the crystal palaces and stuff, right? And how they can grow super big vegetables, anything but bio, like biomass, like that includes humans, animals, vegetables, trees, all of that type of shit, yeah? Could an advanced civilization like Tartaria have had methods of artificial reproduction? Could these children have been grown in artificial wombs, leading to the bizarre Cabbage Patch metaphor? Were these children of an experiment or a lost technology that we can no longer comprehend, or at least that's hidden away from us here and the elites only have access to it, right? Some researchers have even speculated that the elites of the post-Tartarian world may have experimented with human farming techniques, yeah, creating babies in mass quantities to repopulate the post-reset world. That makes more sense to me. Put in the comments which makes more sense to you, if you think that these Cabbage Patch are the children of Tartaria, or if you think that these Cabbage Patch and incubator babies were clones that they cloned and used to repopulate the thing, yeah? And both could be true at the same time. Like I said, some of them could be the surviving children of Tartaria, where others are these clones, you understand? Why the Cabbage Patch doll concept was so successful. Here again, remember there's a melanated one in them dolls there. At the back you see a melanated one, right? Let's dance. Why the Cabbage Patch doll concept was so successful. If the Cabbage Patch baby legend is a remnant of real erased history, it could explain why the doll franchise was so widely popular and resonated so deeply with children. Remember, because it's in our DNA, it's in our genetic memory, something in us knows there's truth in this shit here. So that's why it took off when they made these toys, because it hits a nerve with certain people. Even if they don't know it, there's something in this whole thing that they identify with. Something in you, yo, it identify, especially the children. Do you understand? Wow, this sun's just jumped out on, man. Where's my glasses? So I'm squinting, man. When I squint, I get headaches. Yeah, if the Cabbage Patch baby legend is a remnant of real erased history, it could explain why the doll franchise was so widely popular and resonated so deeply with children. The adoption process mimicked real-life foundlings, right? The idea of lost children appearing from nowhere felt oddly familiar, yeah? The marketing tapped into subconscious memories of a hidden truth. Do you understand what I'm saying now, right? It's worth noting that many conspiracy researchers believe that popular culture is often used to hide the truth in plain sight. I'm one of them persons who believe that. They use shit like this to desensitize you to the truth of this stuff. So most people you talk to will think you're mad. They think, yo, your mum must have bought you 10 of these Cabbage Patch dolls and you just out here speaking about Cabbage Patch dolls. That's how this thing works, right? They hide the popular culture is used to hide the truth in plain sight. The Cabbage Patch Kids phenomenon, I think there's a word missing, was or something. Yeah, was the Cabbage Patch Kids phenomenon a way to normalize the mass disappearance of children in history? That could be the case too. They just made this whole cabbage shit up to hide all of these orphans that have come, you understand, that have just flooded out of nowhere, right? That also could be true, but I'm leaning towards they're clones. They were made in the Ross Clark field with some type of sinister knowledge or alchemy technology top stuff, and it's not open to us or our modern world average person. Only the elites and certain gatekeepers have access to this type of stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mass adoption, a strategy to erase a generation. The most unsettling aspect of both Cabbage Patch Babies and the historical foundling movement is the theme of adoption. The elites may have used mass adoption as a method of population control after resets. In the orphan train era, children were taken from unknown origins and distributed across new families to ensure they never remembered their past. Foundling hospitals would erase names, change birth dates, and create new identities, ensuring that these children were fully assimilated into the new society. If the mud flood wiped out entire populations, the remaining children had to be adopted into new families, new cultures, and new belief systems. Yeah? Could this be why Cabbage Patch Kids were marketed as adopting a child rather than simply buying a doll, right? It subtly mirrors a real-life historical phenomenon where countless real children were stolen, erased, and renamed, right? Final thoughts. I think he's going to move on to Nikola Tesla after this. Hopefully he does, yeah? Are the Cabbage Patch Babies a clue to the past? While most people dismiss Cabbage Patch Kids as nothing more than a toy craze, the similarities between this cultural phenomenon and real historical events are impossible to ignore. 1. The narrative of children appearing without parents mirrors real-life foundlings and orphans. 2. The dolls being grown instead of born aligns with theories of lost genetic knowledge or human farming experiments. 3. The process of mass adoption reflects the way orphans were redistributed after the mud flood reset. If Tartary and its history were truly erased, then it makes sense that even the surviving children would need to be hidden, renamed, and assimilated. The Cabbage Patch Babies, whether real or symbolic, may represent one of the last remnants of an erased civilization's final survivors. What do you guys think? Do you think the Cabbage Patch children is real? Or do you think it's just some type of toy craze and now turned into a conspiracy? And if you do think the Cabbage Patch children are real, do you think they're clones or do you think they're the children of Tartarians? Put it in the comments so others can see. As we uncover more pieces of the hidden past, the question remains, did the real Cabbage Patch Babies ever exist? And if so, what happened to them? They're in society right now, rude boy. They're called NPCs. That's the new name that modern people call them, yeah? Final thoughts, the lost children of Tartaria. The orphan train movement wasn't just about relocation, it was about erasure. It was a global operation designed to wipe out an entire civilization's memory by taking the most vulnerable survivors, the children of Tartaria, and absorbing them into the New World Order. The Tartarian children were not just orphans, they were the last remnants of a lost civilization. That goes both ways. Some of these YT children in the orphan trains and us, the ones, the indigenous that they put in these boarding schools and reclassified as slaves and Negroes, they could be the last remnant of Tartaria, of a lost civilization, stripped of their past and reshaped into a new reality where Tartaria never existed, yeah? But the truth is resurfacing. The hidden history is being uncovered and the legacy of Tartaria is being pieced back together day by people like us having this discussion and people like my man writing this book right here, right? The real question is, what else have they hidden from us? Because we just touching the tip of the iceberg. Now look, he's going into the Wardenclyffe Tower, Nikola Tesla and stuff, yo. So, yo, let's see where this goes. Let me just wet my mouth, yeah, and check a few comments. Hold on. Because it's got to be interactive. Otherwise, it's just me reading from a book, and y'all not going to feel like you're all a part of this discussion. So I'd like to dip into the comments and give you guys a chance to feedback and stuff, right? Let's have a look. Shout out to everybody contributing to this live, because as I said yesterday, when you send me or anybody else, because you can send each other gifts and stuff, you know, when you do that, there's 45 engagement points that you can get from TikTok. So when you're giving to other people, you're not just giving is receiving. The more you give on TikTok is to do with the algorithm interaction. So the more you give, you earn points for your own page, for your own account. So you see, when I go live with these lives, a lot of the traffic that I get, you'll start getting on your page. A lot of the people that come to my page will start coming to your page. You'll start getting new followers. You'll get, I think there's 45 engagement points if you do everything like hit the heart me, send a couple gifts, make some dialogue between people, send somebody else some gift, add some people. You can go on people, click on their thing, you'll see a pink thing come up, follow, go on, add them. At them first, yo, is it okay if I follow you or whatever? No funny business, but yo, start interacting with each other and stuff, because it's going to build up your profile, and then it's going to build us up as a network. As soon as I come on, the whole network comes alive, meaning your page, this page, that page, that page, and we start benefiting from each other. Do you understand what I'm saying? So don't just think when people are asking you to send them gifts or tap the screen or share the live that it's just them grifting. This is as much for your page as it is for my page. Do you understand that? Shout out to everybody who's interacting, right? Let's see what you guys are coming up with. Like I said, any question that just seems a bit silly, even though there's really no silly question, any question I ain't got time for, I'm just going to skip past it. And anybody who's here looking attention, wants to say something clever, you'll just be blocked. So if you want to be blocked, just keep going, you know. We talked about the Vatican Library and the Smithsonian yesterday and their role in this. That's Gregory Sewin, have I pronounced that right? So if you go on the YouTube and watch part 4, this is part 5. It goes into all that Vatican Smithsonian stuff, so I'm not going to speak back over that yet, just to save time. Rads says, stop mixing your seed with them. And I agree totally. This is for any man watching this that doesn't value this divine pigment that you've been given. Stop mixing out with these snow bunnies, man. I'm telling you guys now, this is not a race thing. This is a self-love thing, right? This is a divine gift that you've been given, yeah? A lot of you don't like your own black women. You like to go and mix out, yeah? I don't support none of that. Let me just say that I'm with Rads. Stop mixing your seed with them, yeah? Otherwise, you only have yourself to blame. Clones, Cabbage Patch, they have no soul. I'm with Ron. Ron Fom says he thinks they're clones, them Cabbage Patch. They have no soul. I totally agree. SW says they had their own birth certificates for the dolls. Yeah, for the dolls, man. The dolls have birth certificates and stuff. Them little, they're desensitizing, man. Do you understand what I'm saying? Gregory Sewin says, I think it's real, but I think the cause of it very well may not have been brought to light. Yep, I can agree with that. Rad says it's very real. Aussie D7 says, who bought the mud flood? These gatekeepers. Well, that's what we're trying to investigate. We haven't determined whether it was a natural event or whether it was orchestrated. I can say this, I've read 3 of those books by Helen Morris. You might be aware of them, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall. And even though she talks about Antarctica and the ice wall, she very much speaks into Tartaria as well. I shouldn't say she, I should say her father, William Morris, who crossed the ice wall after Admiral Byrd in 1952, right? He wrote that book and she republished it, his daughter, Helen Morris. And it speaks about Tartaria and the Great Wars of Tartaria and the giants that helped us and shit like that. And according to her father, yeah, it was caused by the custodians. Every reset, they use the same thing. Plagues, COVID-19 and all this stuff here, yeah? Climate change, all the sun's heating up, wars, yeah? Economic crisis. So all of this was going on in the fall of Tartaria. She says there were 4 wars, one in America, one in Russia, and we lost all of them, yeah? In the end, we lost all of them, and that's how we come to be in this modern world. She said we very much nearly won until the custodians were panicking. And that's why they are so strict on us in this new world. There ain't shit but bills and work. because they nearly lost this world. We nearly won, right? And that's why they condemn the giants, the ones that helped us, the Anakim, and have them in the Bible like they're some type of evil beings. Do you understand what I'm saying? When really they're the ones who showed us certain technology. I was showing you the pictures before with the giant cameras. The giants had cameras, they had rifle, they had all the technology you have. In fact, according to William Morris, they're the ones that showed you about technology, right? So that's for Aussie D7. Yeah, that's how the system, that's their way of silencing the Senate. Anyone who talks like me, they will label me a conspiracy theorist. Oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, don't listen to him. But if that was the case, why would they go so hard in restricting what people are saying? They should just be laughing at me then. Oh, nobody's going to listen to him. People have got sense. They're just going to see through. But it's the other way around. They can't even let you say nothing. They want to start. You understand what I'm saying? But that's what they do. JBG Crew says, majority of those babies were clones equals NPCs. I agree. Some of them may have been, they may have like, let's say a 5-10%, they're the remnants of Tartary on the YT side, right? But the most of them children in them orphan trains, to me, those are Cabbage Patch clones. Those are incubator babies. Them hatched from egg and so. You understand? With whatever sinister, because remember, Lucifer can't do what God can do. Lucifer can't give soul. He's not sanctioned to create no human beings and shit. So you're going to create humans without souls. And make note that right now online you have YTs that are telling you that 85% of YTs is fucking Cabbage Patch children. This is not me. This is YTs out there saying it, right? There's a guy and he's speaking to YT people and he's YT. And he says, yo, 85% of us YT people is Cabbage Patch children. And you hear one of the women say, isn't that racist? But he's the same color as you. Do you understand? So I agree with JBG Crew. The fact that you've got them now saying that about themselves confirms our own investigation. Do you understand what I'm saying? What more do you want? That's evidence enough for me that, hold on. Because now they're onto their own story. Remember, they're only a certain amount of years old. We can say 6,000 years old. That's how old they are. But most of them never came around to the 1600s AD. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yo, so who coined the term? You know who coined the term conspiracy theorist after a certain event for that reason. It's the CIA and the FBI that came up with the term conspiracy theorist. When the CIA was first set up, it was set up as a secret. The population did not know about the CIA or them institutions like the FBI, right? So members of the CIA, when they were confronted with this, yo, the CIA is real, they said, no, it's a conspiracy theory. They came up with the term conspiracy theory to hide the existence of themselves. So nobody should be using that term today because the CIA is real. It turned out to be real. You understand? And most of these conspiracy theories, for that matter, most of them, and there are some that are not true, but most of them is turned out to be real. The conspiracy theorists, as they were labeled, were the ones that were right all the time, whether it's about CV19 or whatever else. So the term conspiracy theorist, people that use that to me shows me, okay, you've got a lack of understanding. You don't even know how this world works. You're still using the term conspiracy theorist. I use the term conspiracy realist because I say the conspiracy is very real. It was never a theory. So I style myself as a conspiracy realist. I'll show you what's real about this shit, right? Divine K. Dixon, I'm here in the United States. Shout out to New York City. If you don't already know, have a look at the Statue of Liberty and you'll see that it's built on a star fort. Look at the shape of the little island what it's on, right? That used to be a star fort. Yeah, those are power spots. Yeah, so shout out to Divine K. Dixon and shout out to New York. What borough are you from? My favorite borough is Staten Island because of the Wu-Tang, yeah? Well, hey, here we go. Rad says clones equal modern day Narcissus. You may be onto something there, but yeah. Karma Coma says, I'm leaning towards the Cabbage Patch babies were clones to repopulate after the mud flood reset. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes more sense. The movie Children of the Corn, fit okay. I watched that as a youth, man, and I was traumatized, yeah? And I never watched it again. My older brother made me watch it. Son, watch this, children. You know when you got an older brother and he makes you watch Freddy and all these, yo, I was that you. I'm the younger brother and my bigger brother's making me watch it. I was traumatized, so I don't watch none of that shit. Maybe I need to go back to it now, I'm an adult, and say, yo, let me just address this trauma, yeah? And go and watch Children of the Corn, because, yo, you mentioning it, it probably linked into this stuff here that we're talking about. But like I said, because I was traumatized as a youth, I never went back to them movies. That's the fit okay, yeah? Even Freddy, I didn't watch Freddy till I was about 21, 22, because my brother, he made me watch it when I was about 6, 8 or some, and I was horrified. The man mashed up, yeah, he mashed me up, man. You know when you can't sleep and that, you think Freddy's under the bed, I want to piss and that, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm thinking, yo, Freddy's going to grab my foot and shit like, yo, my brother, he's an idiot, he did that to me, yeah? I think I've seen enough here. Is there anything else? Let me scroll a bit farther. Bloodletting for reptilians. I don't know what you're tying that into, SW. I don't know why you've said that. Jaguar says, that's what I think made it repopulate. They were made to repopulate the thing, the emptied out world after the reset, yeah? I agree with you, Jag. Hence the rays of Dr. Bernardo's. What's Dr. Bernardo's? I'm ignorant to that. Enlighten me on that if you can, please. I'll open up the chat when I'm done, yeah? And let you guys spit a little for a little 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, yeah? Because there's 10 people here lined up to join the live. What century were them children found? They were found, it was from the 1820s, isn't it? Or was it 1840 something? It started from the orphan trains. I think it's 1840. Let me see, just to be sure. This is why I say you guys have to have a pen and paper, because you're asking stuff that you could have already written down, unless you've only just come and you missed it. So that, hold on. Yeah, from the no, it's earlier than that. Hold on. Let me find this read. 1854 is when the orphan train started, and they ran till 1929, right? Write that down. Right, let's go forward. Energy and technology, what was lost? So here it says on this Nikola Tesla picture, this is called the Wardenclyffe Tower. This is Tartarian antiquitech technology, which takes either out of the air and out of water. It says free energy, hidden from us, since ancient times, yeah? It's the same technology that was used in the pyramids, and not just Egypt. Pyramids in America, pyramids in Iraq, all over. Pyramids in Bosnia, Romania, same technology, right? It's an energy system. It says here, Tesla stole tech from ancient free energy tech even before this. I don't think he stole it. I think Tesla discovered something that they was trying to hide, and that's why they didn't back him. That's why they won't teach us about him. If he stole stuff, they would still be teaching us. If he was on their side, they would be teaching us about him in school, just like Thomas Edison. The fact that they don't say nothing about Nikola Tesla tells me, well, he weren't in their good books. So I don't think he stole anything, because he took a trip to Egypt first and studied the pyramids before he built this, the Wardenclyffe Tower, which was based on the Great Pyramid of Khufu, right? And he used the same technology. Yeah, it's called the Wardenclyffe Tower, and they tore it down, JP Morgan and them, as soon as my man was done. So no, I don't think he stole anything, but it says here Tesla stole tech from ancient free energy tech. And in my book 5, the one that's censored, I go in on Nikola Tesla and tell you he's not even a human. He was sent here to give the Mzungu a chance to go back, to actually act different, and they didn't. They took all his technology and used it for the reverse polarity. They used it for evil, right? Yeah, so anyway, let's go forward, yeah? And so here it has what we might see as the dome of the church next to it, but that's actually technology too. That weren't no, them domes that you see on churches and mosques and stuff, they weren't no domes or no minarets and shit like that. These were capacitors and conductors. What we talking about here? They were drawing energy from the surroundings, just like the pyramids did, right? So One of the most intriguing and controversial pieces of the Tartarian puzzle is the mystery of their energy technology, which we're dubbing Antiquitech, right? Unlike the fossil fuel dependent systems of today, Tartarian cities may have functioned on free energy harnessed directly from the Earth's electromagnetic field. It's actually from the ether, right? Ancient buildings across the world feature domes, spires, antennas, and intricate designs that look suspiciously like energy receivers rather than just decorative elements. From the elaborate star forts to towering cathedrals, from grand fountains to mysterious antiquitech seen in old photographs, all of these structures seem to hint at a forgotten energy system that was deliberately erased from history. This is what the destruction of Tartaria was about. As you see, if you post anything about this online, TikTok strikes it down as misinformation. Why? If it's just cap, why not let people just say what they want? Because most people are going to be able to say, well, that's bullshit. But they don't even want people to decide for themselves. They'll just strike you down. One of these lives where we went deep into this, I think it's part 3, I posted a piece on my TikTok. From that live, there was no flashes in the live. But when after the live I clipped out that piece and posted it, they struck it down. They said, yo, that's a strike, that's misinformation. Do you understand? Don't make no sense. But before, I was telling people on that same live that they'd rather you speak about aliens, reptilians, greys, whatever, rather than you speak about this Antiquitech, because that's going to take trillions of dollars away from these oil cartels that have made you dependent on carbon energy. Oil, yeah? That'll take away the need for Trump and them to be fighting in the Straits of Hormuz now over oil, because we don't need oil. The blood, we don't need to be taking the blood of the earth, right? That's the blood of the earth, the oil. We don't need to be taking that and polluting the planet or nothing. We can be using free Antiquitech technology. Anyone who speaks about free energy, you'll end up missing or going, they'll cancel you offline, right? This is, they fear this more than you speaking about reptilians or aliens or anything. So like I said, these lives here, I'm not even going to clip and share on TikTok. I just dash them straight on YouTube. And if you see yesterday's live, I shared none of it on TikTok, because I said in that live, yo, we've gone so deep in this part 4, I'm not sharing none of this on TikTok, or they'll just strike me up. Yeah, so that's on our YouTube channel at Memnon9. If you missed it yesterday, go and have a look at it. And the other parts 1, 2, and 3 also, yeah? Ancient buildings across the world feature domes, spires, antennas, and intricate designs that look suspiciously like energy receivers rather than just decorative elements. From the elaborate star forts to towering cathedrals, from grand fountains to mysterious antique tech seen in the old photographs, all of these structures seem to hint at a forgotten energy system that was deliberately erased from history. After the mud flood and subsequent global reset, this technology was lost, buried, or hidden, yeah? Replaced by an economic system based on scarcity. Like I said, your modern world is built on scarcity. When you see like a famine or whatever, that's not a mistake. That's written into the system. Every now and then there needs to be a famine. There needs to be a shortage of oil. There needs to be a shortage of this. Now we can make war. When we make war, we make all these body parts, yeah? Because it's war. Now when we make war, we make all these orphans. Orphans are made with every war, yeah? Now we got all these children to manipulate, and you understand what I'm saying? Like, war is big business. They have to have it, right? Hold on. Based on scarcity and control, right? What would our world look like today if energy was still free and limitless? It would not be this centralized power, privatization, big corporations, big tech, big pharma. None of this shit would exist. It would have no power over you. You wouldn't have to go to work to find money to cook your food, to find money to heat up your house. That's not a living. Lions don't go to work to heat up their home, or any other animal. They don't pay to be on this planet or to live or to be. You're a human being, not a human doing. But they're having this like human doings. Oh, what do you do for a living? Nigger, I live. That's what I do for a living. That's what you're supposed to say, yeah? You're not supposed to say, oh, I'm a farmer or a carpenter or a this just to live. You don't have to do nothing to live. You just live. But they've put us in a world where you're a human doing. First thing you're going to ask someone, oh, what do you do for a living? I wake people up. I live. That's what I do for a living. Anyway, what would our world look like today? Like I said, if we didn't have all these energy corporations, if we had free energy, Antiquitech, if your house yeah, could just generate its own energy without you having to sign your life away to some job that you don't even like. You understand what I'm saying? Think about it. Put it in your mind's eye, yeah? The answer to that question may explain why Tartary is gone and why they wiped it out of human memory and off maps, right? And also why all of this stuff was suppressed in the first place. So here you see this, what they tell us was a church. Can you see all the spires and antennas on this church? That church was drawing its own energy, right? So the temperature inside that building would have been a steady, like let's say 36 degrees. So you never have to warm it up. You never have to put a fireplace or heating on, or the thing is just steady. The temperature in there is steady. Why do you think a lot of these big buildings, they got no like heating system in there, right? And so nowadays you're like, how did these people stay warm? There's no heating in there. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you have to understand that the way the technology was, that building would monitor its own temperature all year round. It don't matter what the temperature is outside. All of that's gone. They telling you it's a church for you to go and sing hymns to some Caesar Borgias, right? That had nothing to do with no religion. And the same goes for them mosques. This is a place where you go and worship Allah. No, it weren't. These are conductors and capacitors, part of circuit board Earth, that gave us this ambient background where we had this we maintained a tropical climate. We didn't have these seasons, summer, winter, autumn, and all this shit. It was just one steady, right, temperature. That's why they didn't have no heating systems in these massive buildings. Today, you go in there, you freeze after bomber clock. How did people stay warm in here? It's totally different. You understand? Was Tartary's energy system truly free? Most of what we know about energy today revolves around monopolized electricity grids like the national grid here in England. In the UK, we have what's called a national grid. So when you're using electric, anything you don't use gets sent back to the national grid so that England can have a reserve of electricity. So when they got us all into the solar panels and pay us for generating energy, whatever energy you don't use, you can sell it back to the natural grid, the national grid. And they paid you for it. It was called the government feed-in tariff. I know this because I sold solar panels as a manager and trainer for 15 years before I went to jail. So I can tell you about how this shit works. And you generate, let's say you got a 4 kilowatt system of solar panels, that's 16 solar panels on your house. You generate 4 kilowatts a day, you're only using 1 kilowatt. So every day you're selling 3 kilowatts back to the national grid. And they needed it because they had the lowest electricity reserves since World War II. So the government was encouraging people, generate energy and sell it back to us so we can have more in the national grid reserve. Yeah, that's done now. They took it away. They've built back up their reserve. So now they don't need to pay nobody for their energy. So the feed-in tariff got took out of solar. Nobody's buying solar panels no more. I've heard they're about to bring it back, right? But that's how it was when I was in solar as a manager, right? And I tell people, I sell you a part of the sun. I sell people the sun. I used to love saying that, working in solar. Oh, what do you do? I sell people the sun. Oh, can you sell me a piece of the sun? For a 4 kilowatt system, that's £7,000. Do you understand that? The English money, £7,000. You on the phone telling someone, you give me £7,000 and I'll send somebody to put 16 solar panels on your roof, and the feed-in tariff lasts for 25 years. So when you think about it, it was a good deal because you would generate X amount of electricity. You're going to save on your own electricity because you're not using it because you got your own from solar panels. So you're saving and you're fucking making a profit by selling back to the government. So that's a win-win for anyone. So everybody was on it. Solar panel, solar panel, solar panel. Once you take that out, it don't make no sense no more. Nobody wants it. Do you understand what I'm saying? But anyway, let me go forward. But what if Tartaria operated on a completely different system, one that made energy accessible to all, free of cost and infinitely renewable? That means these companies can't monetize it. They can't monetize free energy. So if they can't monetize free energy, they can't control you. But they want profit and they want control. Okay, so we got to get rid of Tartaria and all this free energy shit. We got to get rid of that so we can sell petroleum and crude oil and lock people, make them dependent on that carbon needle as to what your modern world is today, as to why all of these wars are started over land minerals and energy. Yeah, Ukraine, they're fighting over land minerals in the Crimea. Donald Trump in Iran, they're fighting over shipping routes to ship oil around the world, right? So it's all about energy. So Tartary was removed for its technology, because both cultures can't exist on this one world. It's either Tartary and this free energy shit runs, or it's us, these elite families, and this fucking carbon needle thing. So they removed Tartary. That's the reason. Do you understand? The structures that resemble energy receivers, take a look at Tartarian architecture like I just showed you here with the spires. All of them spires on top of the roof, those are receivers that take either out of the air or out of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? Gone. Even the White House had them on. If you look at old pictures of Capitol Hill and the White House, it's full of spires and antennas. They took them off. Do you understand? Domes and spires, often capped with metallic finials, these could have been etheric energy collectors, yeah? Much like Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower that I showed you on the page before, right? They were collecting energy out the ether and distributing it across miles. Nobody had to pay, should be paying for no gas or no electric or no petrol to put in their car. It's all a scam. It's controlled, because that means you have to get your ass up off that bed every 7 a.m. Now you have to slave just to live, just to cook some food, just to keep your house warm, right? This is the devil, this system here. This is not how we're supposed to be living. What we're calling life right now is not life, right? Much like Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, right? Antennas and towers, yeah? These thin, pointed metallic structures atop old buildings resemble radio transmitters or receivers, possibly used to draw energy from the atmosphere. Fountains and waterways, even your canals and waterways, it's all a part of the Tartarian energy system, man. Yeah? Fountains and waterways, and I'm going to add canals, yeah? Water is an excellent conductor of electricity. Many Tartarian cities had complex canal systems and hydroelectricity, yeah? Large fountains and underground aquifers, yeah? Suggesting they were part of an energy capturing and distributing system, right? Star forts, yeah? Their precise geometric layout, water channels, and symmetry hint at their use as earth batteries or energy amplifiers, right? Could these features have once powered entire cities without wires, fuel, or combustion? Evidence of lost free energy tech. Tesla's wireless energy research, which they crashed, JP Morgan and all of them elites, they made sure his shit couldn't get off the ground. And then as soon as he was done, they sent people in, yo, go my man's passed, he's passed, yeah, yo, go to his yard and take all the shit. Anything you find there, take it and bring it to the government and let us have a look at what the fuck my man doing behind. He made stuff like the anti-missile thing where nobody can fire a missile at nobody else. They don't want that. They need war. They want to fire a missile. They hide that shit so no one can have it. Yeah? He made car that drive with water. Hold on, we can't monetize water. No, we don't want that. They get rid of that. Make sure he never sees the production line. Do you understand? The man passed broke and disheveled. They bullied him. He was broke and disheveled when he passed. If you see the last picture of Tesla, it makes you want to cry. My man don't, like he ain't had a meal in the last 6 weeks or something. They did that deliberately. And then tell you, oh, Tesla never really existed or he stole technology. Nah. He was sent, according to Dr. York, he was sent, he was an Aldebaran, and he was sent to give them man a chance. Like, look, you niggas need to turn around, you know, this US government, yeah, and start dealing with the people. Right? Even healing chambers, regeneration chambers, we could be living to 200-300 years old, you know. Our government hides all that shit, man. They use it for them, the elite. Why do you think these elites reach 90 and stuff? They still walking around normal. They still, yo, hardly any of us reach them ages that these elites reach. Why? Why do you think that is? Do you think that God just wants them to live long and he makes them live longer than everybody? Or do you think that they have hidden technology hidden from you, which they have access to? They show you this shit in the movies like Crank with Jason Statham, where you see old man have a new heart and he's on the dance floor sleeping with gal. The man's all at 90. Do you understand what I'm saying? So here, Tesla's wireless energy research. Nikola Tesla attempted to recreate a system of wireless energy transmission similar to what we see in old Tartarian cities. They hated him for this and they mash him up for it. His Wardenclyffe Tower was meant to draw energy from the ether, the same way Tartarian buildings and the pyramids appear to have functioned. Cathedrals and sound resonance. Many cathedrals and mosques, which are telling you is for some religious worship, is bullshit. They were built with perfect acoustic resonance, almost as if they were meant to generate energy from sound frequencies. Some researchers believe these were vibrational power plants rather than mere places of worship. You can't tell that to a Muslim. These jihadi johns are going to come in here and still try and sell you Islam. They don't understand Islam is no different than Christianity. It's heads or tails, bro. It's the same coin, right? Cymatics, yeah, and sacred geometry. The star forts, ancient towers and domes in Tartarian architecture closely resemble cymatic frequency patterns, suggesting they were built to resonate with Earth's natural frequencies. Could Tartaria have harnessed an energy source, it's going to rain, you know, that modern science is only beginning to rediscover? What happened to this technology? Why was it erased? Obviously, we just said it's an energy thing, it's a control thing. Whoever controls energy in the world controls the whole world. Me, you, your dad, your mum, everyone. Everyone has to have some way of cooking their food or heating up their house now that we're living in this post-Tartarian world. So if they can remove free energy, then you're at their, yo, you ain't got no choice but to, yo, where can I, yo, British gas or whatever. You have to now deal with this system unless you know how to generate free energy on yourself, right? Does this make sense, guys? So if free energy was real, then why don't we have it today? The answer is simple: control. If you had free energy today, you don't have to listen to no government. You don't have to wake up and go to work for no boss or no corporate company. You understand? You could just live, just like the lion or the giraffe or whatever other animal. Yo, I'm a human being, yeah? What do you do for a living? I live. That's it. Give thanks and live. You understand? After the mud flood and Great Reset, the new rulers of the world needed to ensure that the next version of civilization was dependent on them, meaning centralized power. Tartaria never had no centralized power. You had distributed authority, which means every one of us had a responsibility in this civilization to make this civilization prosper. You don't have one man, the president or prime minister, making decisions for a whole, how much a billion of fucking citizen. Yeah, Donald Trump, he don't have to tell you. He can just lick a button and nuke someone or what. We never had that in Tartaria. That's called a centralization of power. Governmental. Somebody's governing your mental capacity. Government. That's what it says. Do you understand? You don't need nobody to govern your mental. You could do that for yourself, right? This is how it was in Tartaria. We never had no centralization of power. When all of these industries, big tech and private group and private interest, we never had that. They had to remove Tartaria to bring us into a world where we have Shell and BP and British Gas and Npower and electric and gas and petrol in your car. We never had none of that shit there. That way we couldn't be controlled. So in order to control you, they have to put you in this society and you think it's always been like this and this is the way it should be and this is the way of the world. Then they got you. You understand? Tesla's wireless energy research, Nikola Tesla attempted to recreate... Oh, I've read that already. Hold on. Yeah. After the mud flood and the Great Reset, the new rulers of the world needed to ensure the next version of civilization, which is this, what we call in the modern world, was dependent on centralized power. You depend on your government, right? You depend on these private interest groups, right? The Industrial Revolution, which was false, and the shift to scarcity-based energy. So once Tartarian free energy was erased, a new system took its place. Oil and fossil fuels introduced as the primary energy source, creating monopoly-driven industries controlled by elite families, right? Centralization means putting power in the few hands, yeah, rather than the many. So the few are ruling over the many. They got all the money, they got all the power, yeah, they got all the say, right? Like Elon Musk, he can have 500 trillion while you hardly got shit in your bank account, yeah? And they're telling you, oh, democracy, capitalism. That's the enemy then, yeah? Oil and fossil fuels introduced as the primary energy source, creating monopoly-driven industries controlled by elite families. Centralized electricity grids like the national grid I just spoke about in the UK. Instead of harvesting energy freely, power grids were established to charge people for a resource that was once unlimited. Energy can never run out. There's never an energy crisis. Oh, we've got an energy crisis. Oh, we got a food crisis. Oh, we got a war. Yo, there's no energy crisis in Mother Earth. Nothing in Mother Earth runs out. There's enough land for all of us. Yeah? There's enough air for all of us. There's enough space for all of us. There's even enough money for all of us. If the Queen can have 500 trillion, she could afford to give each one of us 2 million each and still be rich. Still be a billionaire. Can you imagine that? To end poverty only takes something like 2-3 billion. You can end worldwide poverty. Why haven't they did it? They don't want to do it. It's not part of the system. Anywhere that's poor, and we look down on them countries, understand this: poverty is manufactured. Nowhere on earth is poor. Poverty is a symptom of the modern world and capitalism, greed, right? So stop thinking that capitalism is normal and capitalism is your friend and democracy is your friend. It's a con. You understand? Destruction of Tartarian buildings. Many old structures were either demolished, repurposed, or had their antenna-like elements removed, erasing any sign that they were part of a free energy network. Was the real reason for the Industrial Revolution to cover up the existence of Tartary's free energy technology? Yes. The role of world wars in burying Tartary's energy knowledge. World War I and II. When you see them bombing places, that's to get rid of the infrastructure of Tartaria. It's not for no Iraq versus US, Russia versus no, all of them together, these world powers. Let's say we're having a war, then we can bomb all of this land here, because all of them shits there is free energy, antiquity, we need to get rid of it. So they start using these wars to wipe out the infrastructure that was here on earth for us. It's gone through wars. You understand? The role of wars in burying Tartaria's energy knowledge. World War I and World War II saw the destruction of many old world cities, particularly in Europe and Russia, where Tartarian architecture was most prevalent, right? Firebombing of Dresden, that's in Germany, and other cities. Many of the cities destroyed during these wars contained the very buildings that may have held the secrets of free energy, right? The Great Fires of London and shit like that. Yo, all of it, right? Rewriting of history. After the wars, entire cities were rebuilt without this free energy technology, right? And textbooks no longer mention the true purpose of the old world architecture, Could world wars have served as a cover-up for the final removal of Tartarian free energy infrastructure? Yes. Can we recreate Tartarian energy today? Even though the original system has been lost, modern research suggests that the principles of Tartarian free energy can still be rediscovered. So that's how the Wardenclyffe Tower looked in Tesla's time. They've licked that down. They took it, they dismantled it, because they can't have that up and still out here telling you to buy oil and gas and electric and shit, right? And here, as I've showed before, you see how the Tartarian technology works, right? So they have things like conductors like metal like copper and shit, antenna, amplifier, resonator, and the modulator, right? So they use very conductive metals and stuff, and they use water. That's why it's always near running water or streams and shit, just like the pyramids used to be. I'll finish soon and open up so you lot can have a little feedback. Understanding the science of free energy, etheric energy, and Tesla's theories. The idea that energy exists freely in the atmosphere has been explored by Nikola Tesla and Victor Schauberger. Do you know who Victor Schauberger is? If you don't, write this down. Victor with a K, V-I-K-T-O-R, and then Schauberger, which is S-C-H-A-U-B-E-R-G-E-R. Have a look at them. Research them for yourself. Don't just go off what people say or go off any emotions. Actually have a look into it and research them two fellas for yourself. And they'll lead you on to others like them who discovered this shit here and were fought down by society because they rediscovered this Tartarian shit here, right? The Earth battery effect. Some believe that star forts acted as natural batteries, pulling energy from magnetic fields and underground water, right? Resonance and vibrational energy. Modern studies on sound frequencies and resonance align perfectly with what we see in Tartarian structures. So this is a Tesla coil right here. As you see, it generates energy. It just pulls that shit out of the ether. You don't have to pay anybody for electricity, for piezoelectric and stuff. Even the pyramids, you go to the capstone, you can still do experiments there where you get like little shocks and stuff like, hold on, there's energy up here. It's called piezoelectricity. The pyramids generate it, right? They can't hide these truths no more. It's time for another reset, which means our reset from the Most High Yahuwah, where this is done. This devil empire, which has been running for at least 6,000 years, it's time for it to be done for good. Yeah, and that means you've got to stand up on business. Nobody's going to come down here and save you. No, Jesus ain't floating out no clouds. No Mahdi ain't coming with no Muhammad thing. You have to be the one who take the action collectively to change what's going on earth, right? As long as you stay in these religions, you ain't going to do nothing for yourself. You're going to wait for a white man to float out the clouds and save your black ass. He ain't going to happen, right? People are testing Tesla coils and wireless power transmission. And hear this, black people, you have Tesla coils growing out your head to rest clear. Do you understand that? It's called 9 ether hair. Researchers are re-examining the potential of pyramids, yeah, star forts, and geometric architecture in energy generation. Acoustic and water-based energy experiments are showing promising results, yeah? And you know that the powers that be are going to try and keep this shit down. They don't want this to happen. Could we rebuild the lost technology of Tartaria and create a world where energy is truly free? Of course. We have geniuses born in today. Do you know how much youths are being born, genius youths right now? That all they need is some of this. All they need is to be pointed in the right direction. We don't need to do nothing else. Just tell them, yo, that's fake, and go and look over there. That's all we need to do as parents. Just point them in the right direction. They being grown now with 3-strand DNA and all type of shit, man. And that's the one thing we can't fail in. As parents, directing our children away from this madness, what we've come to know as the normal modern world. We need to direct them back to this. That's why I encourage you guys to bring your children when you sit in these classes. If you got children around you, let them come, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, let them sit down and listen to this, because they're the ones that are going to take it and challenge what they're being told in these institutions, in the curriculum and stuff, and the board of education, which is trying to make them bored of education, right? The future. We will uncover the truth, yeah? We are standing at the edge of a major awakening. As more people question history and research suppressed technologies, we may be able to reclaim what was stolen from us. If free energy was real, and it is, then we must ask who took it from us and why. It's going to lead back to them 13 elite bloodlines, right? Could rediscovering Tartaria's energy technology free us from corporate control? Yes, with all capital letters, yeah? Are we ready to challenge the narrative and rebuild a world without energy dependence? We get in there, I would say, yeah? The evidence is there. The blueprint, or I should say the black print, may still exist, yeah? The question is, will we act on it? Will you act on it? I am. That's why I'm doing this live. That's why I'm reading this book to you. That's why I'm writing my own books, right? Are you willing to stand on this? What's your role in this? Are you going to share this live? Are you going to bring more people to these? Are you going to, you understand, where do you, all of us have a role to play. If you don't, then you can't blame no one. You might as well stay in this system. You understand? And some people will stick in this. They won't make it off this timeline, you know. All of us ain't written to make it off this timeline. Ask yourself, how much do you want to see change? You got to be the change you want to see in the world, right? Let me wrap this up, right? Hold on. Energy and technology, what was lost? One of the greatest mysteries of Tartaria is the apparent mastery of free energy, a system that may have harnessed the Earth's electromagnetic field to power entire cities without wires, without fuel, and without combustion. If this technology truly existed, and it did, it would have eliminated the need for fossil fuels, centralized electricity grids, and energy monopolies, which means the end of your government, yeah? Which may explain why it was systematically erased from history by these 13 bloodlines who wanted to be your government, right? Today, remnants of this lost energy system can still be found in ancient buildings, star forts, and abandoned structures worldwide. Even if you go through your city, you may see some shit like, hold on, this is old and this is to do, you see the windows half buried in the floor and shit like that. These locations provide clues about how Tartary's energy grid functioned, what materials were used, and how these systems could be revived today. Where can you find Tartarian energy structures? Although Tartarian history has been suppressed, many of its buildings, energy hubs, and architectural relics still exist in your cities, right? They can be found in Europe, North and South America, Russia, Asia, and even parts of Africa, often hidden in plain sight, right under your nose, yeah? Under false narratives, like, okay, this is a church. No, it's not. That's a conductor, that's a capacitor. Oh, this here's a masjid, a mosque. No, it's not. That's a conductor, that's a capacitor. Don't let them fool you, right? They can be, hold on. Here are some countries and cities, we'll end on this, where evidence of Tartarian free energy technology can still be found today. 1. Europe, the heart of forgotten energy architecture. Russia, yeah, you got the Kremlin Towers, Moscow. They feature antenna-like spires even today, and domes that resemble energy receivers. Putin ain't taking them shits up. He left them. St. Basil's Cathedral, yeah? Intricate gold-plated domes with metallic structures suggesting etheric energy collection, yeah? Peterhof Palace, which is in St. Petersburg, which was one of the key points of old Tartaria, yeah? Grand fountains and water channels possibly be part of an energy conducting system. So if you live in Italy, this is for you, yeah? Florence Duomo, what is this? Cattedrale di Santa Maria del Fiore, yeah? The larger copper dome and antenna-like finial suggest energy harvesting properties, yeah? Venice, St. Mark's Basilica, features multiple metallic domes which may have once been part of a wireless energy grid. If you live in France, this is for you, yeah? Notre Dame Cathedral, Paris, yeah? Built with high energy frequency geometry before being damaged by fire in 2019. Remember in 2019 they put that Notre Dame Cathedral that just went up in fire, right? Chartres Cathedral, right? Positioned on a ley line, featuring tall spires that resemble Tesla coils, yeah? If you live in Holland, the Netherlands, this is for you. Amsterdam, star forts and water systems. These structures have been built on precisely aligned grids connected to natural water channels, possibly for energy conduction. If you live in North America, these ones are for you. Forgotten Tartarian cities. United States, Chicago's 1893 World Fair's buildings featured wired free illumination, suggesting knowledge of wireless power. San Francisco's Golden Gate Park structures. If you live on the West Coast, San Francisco, yeah, them Golden Gate Park structures contain Tartarian-style domes, metallic finials, and intricate geometric layouts. If you live in New Orleans, yeah, the French Quarter, that was built with Tartarian architectural features, including raw iron energy conductors and geometric street patterns. If you live in Canada, Quebec City's Star Fort, yeah, Citadelle de Quebec, perfect geometric alignment with water flow systems. Toronto's Old City Hall features a massive dome and clock tower resembling ancient Tartarian energy systems. If you live in Mexico, my brothers and sisters in Mexico, yeah, Mexico City's Metropolitan Cathedral, built on a ley line, featuring Tartarian-style towers and spires. If you live in South America, Brazil, yeah, forgotten Tartarian influence, Teatro Amazonas, Manaus, yeah, a strange dome structure deep in the Amazon, featuring Tartarian-style metallic detailing. Do you know in the Amazon's got railway tracks and stuff underneath the fucking grass, right? Rio de Janeiro, star forts, constructed with unusual geometric precision, featuring water channeling systems. Colombia, yeah, Bogota's La Candelaria district contains mysterious domes, archways, and star forts aligning with Earth energy grids. Argentina, yeah, Buenos Aires, yeah, obelisk and domed buildings feature architectural elements resembling energy receivers. Asia and the Middle East, Asian energy centers. China, yeah, Forbidden City, Beijing, yeah, or Peking, Beijing. Massive domes, golden rooftops, and perfect ley line alignment suggest energy-related construction. The Temple of Heaven features a circular resonant chamber, possibly used for frequency-based healing or energy amplification. India, Taj Mahal, right? The central dome with metallic elements resembles energy towers found in Europe. Yeah. Varanasi's ancient temples, built on ley lines featuring resonance chambers and underground water systems. Japan, Tokyo Imperial Palace features Tartarian-style towers and domes aligned with key magnetic fields. Middle East, Persian mosques, Iran, Iraq, Turkey and Syria all feature golden domes, metallic-tipped minarets, yeah, and geometric precision, suggesting ancient free energy systems, yeah. So we'll end there, and I'll open up a bit just to see if anybody wants to ask anything, and then we'll be done till later, because I think that's a whole lot for us to digest, all right? Let me see if anybody's put anything here first. Yeah, UK, man. You can just go London and see all of this shit in London, man. You don't even have to go into London. UK also. Even here in Leicester. You don't even have to reach London. Caribbean also. You're in XI, Indigenous Mayan Caribbean. Okay. So I'm going to invite these 8 people who've requested to join the line and see if anything's making sense, right? Remember, guys, be very careful. If you're here to play about, you'll just be blocked. And that block will be permanent, because I just don't have time. Why do you have to add these one by one? Why can't they just make you add all of them at the same time and that? This is a bit crazy, but there you go. It's a poignant story, and I need you to support my time. Also, I'm not here to argue. Like, if you disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. But you need to go in your own page and do your own life, because I'm not going to argue with people, like I said, innit? Well, I'm giving people a chance to express themselves. If you got any questions, even if it's not a question, even if you just want to add to the discussion, something that's going to benefit the audience, feel free to add to the discussion, yeah? Let's start with, from the bottom, go up. So I'm going to start with, what's that? Channeling? You got the mic. Are you there, channeling? Okay, let me go to David Judah. You wanna add anything, David Judah? Or do you guys just want to sit? Behind me, what? My cat was here, but he's gone. I don't know where he's gone. Grogu. I don't know where Grogu's gone. Yeah, guys, you've got the mic, you know. So any one of you can add to the chat or ask a question or whatever it is.
What's the name of the book you're reading from, please?
Tartaria, The Full Hidden History Unlocked, and it's by Shudwini Noventa. Here, let me hold it up for you so you can write it down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it came out last year, 2025, so it's very fresh, which is good that we have a fresh take on this type of stuff. So all these people here requesting to join the live, as soon as you let them join the live, they run off and that with the tails between their legs. So respect for joining live and asking that question there. What is it? Candles Creative?
Candy's creation. And the bells. What about the bells? Because I don't know if I
Yeah, we
heard
spoke
you.
about the bells in part 2. If you go on YouTube and watch part 2, it goes into the bells and we show you the pictures of them fields of bells that are just buried in the ground. Right, so that's why we've already gone past that piece. But I think it's in part 1 or 2. It shows you, there's a couple pages. Let me see if I can find it so I can just show you what I'm talking about. These bells that they just find buried, fields of them buried everywhere. And you're like, yo, why are they burying all these bells? But it's to do with the healing, resonance. Bells were used to heal people and whole cities. Yeah, but let's say, like I said before, if you had a tumor or something, they would put you under one of these massive bells and bang it at the right frequency. And that would just break apart your tumor or whatever sickness you would have. Sometimes they would do it over the city, bang the bell, and the whole city has a healing frequency just wash out over it. So they started collecting all the bells and getting them out, like ridding everybody of these. They don't want us to have that technology. They want you to go to the NHS and whatever else, right? They don't want you to know that you can heal yourself with these bells and stuff. Let me try and find them. because you see how much of these bells is buried in the ground. You're like, whoa, man, this is crazy.
And is it all after the Second World War this all happened?
Nah, way before that. The Second World War is 1942. That's way late. That was just the other day. World War One was 1914. So even before World War One, we're talking 1800s here.
So what's the end of Tartarian then?
Huh?
When did the Tartarian period end then?
When the orphan train started, around the 1850s.
Okay.
So long before World War One and Two. World War One and Two were more like cleanup campaigns to get rid of all of the infrastructure that was still on the earth. They can just bomb it away.
So what do you think about Iraq? What are they hiding in Iraq and them places?
What?
In Iraq and Iran wars and all this, the Middle Eastern wars. What are they trying to hide out of there?
Iraq has got a lot of underground hidden caverns and stuff, giants and all type of stuff going back, linking to the Anunnaki. So there's a lot of stuff that's being hidden in Iraq. I wouldn't say it's one thing. I'd say there's loads of stuff that they don't want you to know that's hidden in Iraq. Hold on, let me find these bells. If I can find them.
And do you know anything about Crystal Palace? Was that part of the Tartarian?
You have to watch the other parts, darling, and all that stuff that you're asking is in the previous parts that we've already gone through. Look, here goes your bells.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this next page.
And where's that?
All over Europe, all over, even in America, all over America, everywhere. You got to understand, Tartary was a global thing. So they found, look, these farmers digged up a bell in there. He's digging in his yard. They found this big, massive bell, and all of them have got cracks in them. They crack them. That means they don't work no more. If they crack it, it's not the same frequency was meant to be. It's got a crack in there. So all of them are cracked, and you got whole fields of these bells. Look. Because it's to do with the healing, and so now we can't heal anything. Look how massive this one is.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So if you go into parts one, it's either in part 1 or 2 or 3, where I was going into this type of stuff briefly about what we call wazufa, which is the science of sound healing. You can use sound frequencies to break apart any tumor or any ailment that they'll literally put you under one of these bells and bong, and that frequency that goes through you, your tumors will literally break up and stuff. Nikola Tesla made a device like these bells where you stand on it, and the vibration light it sends through your body would take away cancer, would take away certain different things, and it's based on the same principle of these bells, right?
So will the sound bowls be the same principle?
Yes. Singing bowls, you mean, yeah?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Who's this? Channeling. Do you have anything to say, or you just want to listen? It's okay if you just want to listen. I just wanted to give you guys a chance to say what you want to say. Let me see who this person is who wants to come up, because I'm only going to be here for about 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to go so I can focus on the live later. Go and eat some food and do some push-ups and stuff. Walk around nature, and then I'll come back to this digital stuff later. Because you have to take breaks from this. Yeah. Yeah, Jaguar says, my red hair originates from North Africa, not Scotland, not Ireland. Everything has been a lie. Yeah, see you on this thing, you already know. You don't need me to tell you. Who's this who's joined? Walk with. I can't see what the rest of the name says. Do you want to add anything? Walk with. Can you hear us? What is it? Walks with God or something? I can't see the rest of your name. The one above you. Walks with God or walks with, who's this? Walks with light. Do you want to add anything? Or ask anything? I don't know. Maybe you got one of them Temu phones and you can't hear me. You bought one of them replica phone off Temu or something. Yeah, that's true as well. I am God. They moved the majority of the black people from Europe and Asia into Africa. Yeah, they did. And they did that.
Just about to ask you that.
They did that. I have a book that's called Black Europa, the Missing Keys. If you go into that book, it'll show you all about that. How it's from the 11th century all the way to World War One and Two. They were literally dumping people out of Europe. You see what they call the scramble for Africa, right? They cleaned Germany out because Germany was the capital of Europe. They cleaned Germany out of all the Bumilin line of Moors and stuff. That 30 Years War that they say is Martin Luther, the Catholic Church versus the Protestants and Martin Luther. That was part of it, where they was wiping out Europe of the indigenous black population. If you look in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, you'll come across a tapestry called the Wartburg Tapestry. I start my book with that, and that dates back to 1440. And you can see a bunch of Tamahu, or wild man, caveman them, surrounding a castle, and all the people in the castle are black. The king and queen's black. The archers trying to defend the castle are black. And you see these cavemen with clubs and stuff in there, running around this castle trying to... That's real. This is what Europe was like. They moved them out, and they gave you a false history. When they say world wars, those world wars in Europe, World War One, 11 million. I think World War Two was something like 40-something million unalived. Those were us that were unalived. It wasn't a world war. It was cleaning you out. It was
It makes sense.
Of Europe.
It makes sense because we
All
know.
the receipts are there. Like literally, if you get that book, Black Europa, the Missing Keys, all the receipts you ever need for what I just said there, your head will come off. I invite Jaguar's got the book. She can tell you in the comments, right? You need to put a helmet on before you read that book. That's how mad it is when you read it. It will bend your reality. Even Adolf Hitler is not who they told you he was. And that's at the end of the book. And I can't even go into it on screen. Yeah?
So what you're saying is this a lie that we're all from Africa?
Yes. We're indigenous.
We're from all over the planet.
Yeah, every continent, we're indigenous to every continent, not just Africa. Because remember, when we were seeded on Earth, there was no Africa, there was no America, there was just Earth. There was one supercontinent, all connected, right? So we're indigenous to the supercontinent that was all connected in one. Now it's split. Just because over there is called America and here's called Africa and here's called Asia doesn't mean that we're not in. We're already there before it split apart. That's why the first people anywhere, you're going to find melanated people. Whether it's America or whether it's China, whether it's Australia, whether it's England, the first people were melanated because we were seeded when the planet was one. All the continents were connected before it broke apart. And so in the Bible, it tells you the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. We are the children of the Lord, or the children of Elohim. If you want to read Psalms 82:6, it tells you this. And Jesus, Joshua reiterates this in John 10:34. So it's not only in Psalms 82:6, it's reiterated by who they call Jesus in John 10:34. It says, all of you are children of the Most High. Ye are gods, right? So if the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, you shouldn't just be claiming America or claiming Africa or claiming Europe. You should be claiming the whole earth, right? We were seeded on a planet that was connected as one. There was no America, there was no Africa, there was no India, there was no Britain, there was just Earth, Mother Gaia, and you were seeded on Earth. So all this nationality bullshit is what white man want you to talk about. That's why I don't spend no time on it.
Nice answer.
Yeah, man. Now, let me block this guy. There's always somebody here that's trying to divert. The devil always trying to infiltrate, yeah? Is there anybody else that wants to ask anything? If not, then this is the end of the live, yeah? And we'll come back later and continue into this fantastic book. We're just about to reach the halfway mark.
No, I need to get that book.
Yeah, this book is brilliant. And me writing my book, I stopped just to read this book because I wanted to read. And there's another one.
Where'd you get it from?
This is even not mine. This is my ex-girlfriend's book. She ain't come for it yet. That's why I need to read it now.
No, I mean, like, where can I purchase it?
I don't know. You're going to have to type it in online. Type in the name online and see what comes up. Tartary, the full hidden history unlocked. And put type it in on Amazon. If you're looking for any book, Amazon is the first place for you to look because they're the king of selling books, right? So if you want to find a book, that's the first place I'm going to try if I'm looking for any book. If I can't find it on Amazon, then I'm just going to type it in on the search engine, like this book and to buy. Just put buy behind the title of it. I want to buy Tartary, A Full Hidden History Unlocked. Where can I buy it? You've got a computer in your hand. Yeah? Put it in your search engine, right? Because that's the best place that's going to tell you where is selling this book. Yeah, shout out to Nisha UK. Shout out to Cosmic Nova. Ben Jack has been blocked. He's put $4,000 for the first person to message me.
He keeps doing that to you. He does that every time on your live.
Blocked him.
I don't know if it's different names each time or whatever, but I noticed that this comes up a lot on your lives.
All he wants, that's Lucifer to me. That's Agent Smith. Mr. Anderson, you speaking to all these, that's Agent Smith, man. Hold on. Yeah, so I think that's it, guys. We'll come back later.
Oh, last question, sorry. Your top.
Oh, this is my stuff.
That's your family.
Yeah, I wear my own stuff. I stopped wearing Nike. I stopped wearing, other than what I've already bought. Like, I won't buy no more Nike. I'll probably buy, I still buy Adidas and Puma, but I won't buy no more Nike, and more time I'll use my own family stuff and make my own stuff. I just came to that.
Because I have friends with Wint and friends with Carr and friends with Samuel. So that's why I was curious.
Where are you from?
I'm British, Jamaican, but
like me.
My friend, the Wint is from Germany, the Carr is Jamaican, Samuel is Jamaican as well. Yeah.
Okay, because my Samuel is Antiguan and my Carr is Antiguan and my Wint is Jamaican. If you know anything about Arthur Wint, that's my great uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious about that. I like the top though.
Man, I like to have my own stuff, man. I make my own fashion. Do you understand? So, when I rebranded and I made my own sigils for my family, his mum was a Samuel, and then his dad was a Carr. My father's dad was a Carr. His mum was a Samuel, and then my mother is from the Wint family, Mandeville, Manchester, Jamaica. So I put all three on there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The Pyramid Churches.
I my own, actually. You've given me inspiration.
Man, we have to take back what's ours, you know. We are the royalty of the earth, the entire earth, man. So also, research your family surname. Yeah, you've given me a piece there, Wint, Germany. I never even knew Wint was in Germany also. So now I'm going to look into that. You understand? So thanks for that. But yeah, I'm at the top now. So guys, I'm going to go. I wish we had a few more likes on this. 53.3. Yesterday we had what? 110 or some shit like that. But it's all good. Like we still got 161 viewers at the end of the live. So it was still a pretty impactful live. Later on, we're going to come back to this and we're going to continue in the same fashion for another 2.5 hours. So if you I don't want to give you a time, because every time I give a time, I don't make the time or I'm late or whatever. But it will be later around sunset type of time, or just before. We'll come back to this and we'll do another session. So we've had 2 doses of this today. Please come with a pen and a notepad so you can take anything that sticks out to you, all the stuff that resonates with yourself, because what resonates with you might be different than what resonates with me. And the best
Someone asked, sorry, I'm cutting. Someone asked, what's the meaning behind the eagle on your thing?
Huh?
Someone asked, what's the meaning behind the eagle?
That's for me. That's for me to know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? Everything is not for everyone to know. Listen, guys, I'll be back later. Mafia for life. Peace. Yeah. Thanks for everybody who joined in. Thanks for everybody who contributed. And I'll say thank you in advance for anybody who's going to join me later and go further into this Tartarian subject. Be vigilant, right? And question everything, even everything I've told you. Mafia for life. Peace.